It says we are on air. It does say we're on air, but I'm not seeing it in the... I know there's a little bit of a buffer. There we go. Yes, we are on air. Finally, it is Sunday. It is just gone 8 o'clock. It is time for Doctor Who because every Sunday is a Doctor Who day. Say hello, Chris.
Hello, Chris.
There we are. Tonight we are doing the Macra Terror Blu-ray. We can have a good time with this. It's again, it's my favourite Doctor in Patrick Troughton. Ian has joined us. Hello, Ian.
Right, Ian.
Good evening. It's my favourite Doctor. Patrick Troughton. He is outstanding. He is the Doctor that all the other Doctors refer to when it comes to who's the most influential. You know, he gets referenced by Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, even Matt Smith. He is that good. And he wasn't my favourite Doctor. My favourite Doctor was either it was either going to be Sylvester McCoy or it was going to be David Tennant. Up until sort of later years when I started getting the Doctor Who DVDs and watching not just the classics from, John Pertwee onwards, but going back and looking at the black and whites and then getting the Troughton era. And I think I've mentioned this before. I watched Tomb of the Cybermen and thought, this guy is good. Like, I knew Patrick Troughton was good anyway, because I'd seen him in, like, The Omen and things like that. So I knew he was a good actor, and I'd seen him pop up in, like, the Three Doctors and in the Two Doctors with Colin Baker. I always liked him. He was like that. He's a very likeable character actor. When I saw Tomb of the Cybermen, then it was like, he is doing something interesting here. And I think it took me until about Enemy of the World. And I think when I saw Enemy of the World, I think that just pushed it over the edge. It was just like, yeah, this guy's the best. Which was strange, because I think it's kind of odd that my taste in... Because normally people go with who they grew up with as the Doctor, as they, what they say is their Doctor. But for me, it was a case of... this guy just stole it from under everybody else, and it's just like, wow. So I don't know how much experience you guys got with Patrick Troughton as a Doctor. How do you feel about him, Chris?
I would Patrick Troughton for me is second only to Tom Baker.
Yeah,
he's definitely one of my favourites. I love the quirky way he plays it. I like the madness with the flute, and he's a great Doctor.
So to summarise what exactly happened when he took over with playing the Doctor was that he had very little time. It's not like today whereby there's no Doctor Who till 2020. They were pushing this out and he had 3 weeks. And again, in particular with the Macra Terror that we're going to watch tonight now, they would actually have a 7-day turnaround. So it would be, you'd be recording on the Saturday, on the next Saturday you'd be on TV. So incredibly short amount of the period of time. That's why I really respect the shit out of the classic Doctor Who's, more so than the new ones, because the new ones got no excuse really. They've got better technology, they've got better production staff, they've got higher budget. They've got all the advantages that the classics never had. And, digital cameras, oh my God, what a difference digital cameras have made. You could have multiple takes. Back then you couldn't. You got 2 takes and that was it. With the Macra Terror does an interesting thing where, with Patrick Troughton, his approach to the Doctor, and why I think it's why other Doctors lean to him as an influential figure to play the Doctor, is because his approach, he had thought about, well, if this guy lives for 5,000 years and he's 400 years old. In terms of human life, he's like 10. So he decided to play it with a bit of innocence to him. And there's a flamboyancy that comes along with that. But then because Patrick Troughton was like, well, this guy is more intelligent than I am, I can't play him as intelligent. I've got to play him as inquisitive. And I think that's what really separated him from other people that played the Doctor, or rather, not so much separated him, but actually set the die then for what the he became the archetype for what is the Doctor, you know. Everything from Power of the Daleks right the way through, he really sort of put in lots of things in place, and lots of things came into place with Patrick Troughton as the Doctor. I mean, again, we were watching Enlightenment last week, and I know Ian wasn't here for that, but there are moments in Enlightenment whereby Peter Davison is clearly referencing Patrick Troughton. And there's moments whereby, like with, I would say Patrick Troughton is probably the biggest influence on Sylvester McCoy's Doctor. Yeah, he is just such a great character actor. And it's a shame that so much of his stuff is missing, I think. And this is why I'm really, really excited for the Macra Terror, is because we get to see 51 years ago this episode was broadcast and nobody's seen it since. And now here it is. What was your feeling when you found out that this was going to be a thing? Because I know I actually sort of clued you in on it.
You clued me in on it, and I went straight onto Amazon and bought it.
Yeah, it was pretty cut and dry. But I mean, the first time you saw it, what was your? We've talked about this off air, but what was your sort of initial sort of like when you first saw it? Did you see it in colour first or black and white?
I haven't watched the black and white one yet. I've only watched the colour one.
Right. Okay. Well, it's the colour one we're going to do tonight anyway. So, but what was your first impression when you sort of put it on?
I was blown away with the way they'd done it. I know we've spoken before about the sound around the TARDIS and that at the beginning.
Yeah.
But it's like, even though from what I've seen, 'cause I've only seen the reconstructed one beforehand. Obviously, I wasn't alive when this was first broadcast. It just seems to have more scope to it. It just seems bigger. I don't know if that's because it's in widescreen or it just seems big.
Yeah, there's a scale to this episode that it. I mean, because they've animated it and because they haven't tied their hands with the set. So they like, again, we've talked about other ones that they've animated before, whereby the Power of the Daleks is very, very faithful to the size and scale of the sets that they actually built at the time. This doesn't. This one kind of takes liberties. This one goes, you know what? We can make this set a lot bigger and a bit grander, and you know the size of the screens are massive, and it does look a lot more epic. And I think this is starting to break the mold now of do what it says in the script, not what they did on TV, because. For me, we again when we were talking about Enlightenment last week, one of the things that they did with the Enlightenment was to replace a lot of the visual effects and to try to improve upon that. But one of the things that they didn't improve on, and I stick by this, is that they decided not to rescore it. And for me, that's what leads me into with Macra Terror here, is that if you're gonna do a total replacement, and particularly for episodes that are missing, and you're going to do a special edition, it's nice that they stick close to the episodes for when they do the initial episodes. But when you do the special edition version, special it all. Don't just concentrate on the visuals, concentrate on the sound as well. That's kind of important. And if it means that you've got to get people in to re-record voices and get people in as voiceover artists to play characters, then do it. It's for the special edition. It doesn't matter because you're not affecting the original. And with something like this, the original is completely missing. That's what you got to remember is that when you're not, it's very unlikely that you're ever going to see the Macra Terror in its original form. And he has just chimed in there. I think maybe Troughton was influenced a lot by Peter, what is it? Peter Haining. Celebration book wasn't kind to the black and white era. Very every Troughton I've seen has been very good. Like Enemy of the World was regarded as the weak story in that season. Do you know, Enemy of the World was the one that really made me sort of look at Troughton, what Troughton was doing as an actor. And that's what made me go, Jesus Christ, this guy is good. I think I mentioned it before. In Enemy of the World, he plays the Doctor, he plays Salamander, and he plays the Doctor pretending to be Salamander. And you can identify which one is which. And that's mind-boggling. Like, how can you play these two people and then play the person pretending to be one of these two people and still make the distinction? Like, how good do you have to be able to get this? And there's a point in Enemy of the World where they are playing opposite each other. And I'm thinking, how is he doing this? It's ridiculous. He is ridiculously good. And again, Tomb of the Cybermen. Look, if you haven't seen Tomb of the Cybermen, go watch Tomb of the Cybermen. It's one of the best Doctor Who stories of classic era. It's an incredible story, incredibly well done. Again, we're talking about a time whereby they weren't giving these shows massive amounts of budget. They weren't in Lime Grove anymore. They were in Ealing Studios, so they had a bit more space to work with. But what these people were doing for the budget they had, for the amount of time they had to get these shows out, they get all the respect in the world from me. Even again, we're talking about the sound scoring. I think at one point they had a maximum band of like 6 people, and that was considered luxurious. So yeah, it's a for me the black and white period of Doctor Who. There's a lot I like about the black and white period of Doctor Who in their approach to science fiction. It's very much taken from things like Quatermass and the Pet, and here's the difference between back then and now. Back then, their approach was, if you say anything bad about me making science fiction, I'm going to punch you in the mouth. Whereas today, because they took it seriously, like very, very seriously. Whereas by the time you got to the 80s, it was kind of very frowned upon. And as we all know, they tried for a long time to cancel Doctor Who in the 80s. But it wasn't just Doctor Who, it was all science fiction. And it wasn't until like the Next Generation came along that started, stealing numbers, and when Sky then turned around and went, "How are we going to offer you, X amount of million to have Deep Space Nine and the Next Generation on Sky?" That's when the BBC were like, "Holy shit, there's money to be made here."
Carwyn.
Yes.
We need to discuss the Next Generation later on after all of this, I believe.
Oh yes, we do.
Oh yes, we do.
Oh yes, we do. We will do. But yeah, I mean, it was that period of the 90s whereby I'm going to say about 93, early 93, 94, when shows like Quantum Leap were coming out, when they started doing Babylon 5, when they started doing all that sort of stuff. It was that whereby the attitude towards science fiction started changing again. And now the problem is these days is now it's taken for granted, I feel. And now a lot of science fiction is regarded. There is a point whereby science fiction these days is regarded as the vessel for telling moral stories. And that's not necessarily true. yes, the Star Trek used to have allegorical stories for telling, stories about the human condition. That is very true. But there were times whereby he was punching a human alligator. Um, it doesn't always have to be, every episode doesn't have to be a lesson in moral and ethics. Sometimes it can just be fun, and I think these days that's kind of the best way I've put it before is that these days science fiction seems to be out to win an award, whereas before it was out to tell a story. And I think that's the big difference between then and now. What are your thoughts, Chris? And Ian, of course, yeah, in the chat. What are your thoughts on how? When I'm talking about the classic now, I'm talking about the older classics as opposed to the 80s era. But let's go early 70s to right back to the start. What's your thoughts on this period in science fiction?
Well, they were a lot more experimental because of limitations. I kind of feel with science fiction, there's something weird that's happened in the world. I don't know if it's the internet or what, but when I was growing up, sort of like in the early 80s,
yes,
science fiction, computer games, Dungeons and Dragons, all that sort of stuff was kind of looked down on, and you're a weirdo and you're a basement dweller, and that's that's a really odd behaviour. And now it's all really mainstream with your PlayStations. I mean, Critical Role that do D&D on YouTube have millions of viewers.
Yeah.
And science fiction is now massive with the Avengers and all that stuff going on. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the culture's turned around, but there is, there's, a lot of people would reference, if you're talking about science fiction and the way that great science fiction was done, a lot of people would talk about things like H.G. Wells, War of the Worlds, that sort of stuff. And that was regarded as the quality of science fiction. Whereas something like Doctor Who was very much, I think early on, it was very much it was very much held in quite high regard. But I think what happened after after the 70s, I think it got seen. I think it fell into the trap of Thunderbirds, of kids' TV, of it's science fiction, it's just for children, and then there's a point whereby a lot of science fiction ended up getting geared towards children. Things like the Tomorrow People and whatnot. It all got pushed into the same sort of pigeonhole. And of course, people then that grew up with it don't think this is weird because they grew up with it. Like I remember a friend of mine, he had never seen Knight Rider before, and he just thought it was bloody weird. But I didn't think it was weird because I grew up with it. It was one of those things. Like he just thought this is silly because how can this car be doing this stuff? But with me, it was the case of no, it's Kit. Sit down and shut up. So this one, yeah, I love Quatermass. Showed the first film last night to my flatmate. They really liked it. Quatermass was 6 and 7. It freaked me out and made me love tentacle things to this day. I tell you what, we're talking about great science fiction here before we get into doing the Macra Terror, because the Macra Terror is only 4 episodes. So, but it's we will get to that very, very shortly. Great science fiction. I mean, man, I will fight anybody who disagrees with Forbidden Planet as being a great science fiction movie. That thing, in particular, as a great effects movie as well. I mean, there's things that they do in Forbidden Planet they would never dream of doing today. Just ridiculous stuff. Like, I mean, there's a shot. I don't know how familiar you are with Forbidden Planet, but there is a shot in Forbidden Planet whereby they're walking into this complex and they're looking down this massive shaft, and the only way they had to film this massive shaft was to build a scale model of it. And the scale model, this is no word of a lie, the scale model of this shaft that they built, they had to lay it down on its side and it run the length of a football field. Like, that's a scale model for you. That's how big you can stand inside this shaft, and it's a spectacular shot in the film. But they would never do anything like that these days. That's absolutely bloody crazy. But yeah, those are the lengths they went to create, and it was the first time, I think, Forbidden Planet, if I'm right, that when the C-57D comes into land, they actually show sort of the beam coming out of the bottom of the flying saucer, and then the stabilizer beam coming down as well to hold the thing in place as it comes into land. It's a very beautiful looking film, very well done. Forbidden Planet, awesome. Made the gun out of Lego. Out of Lego. Well, I believe, and you could get me wrong here, I believe the original guns used in the film were actually made out of milk bottles. That's where I am with that. But yeah, no, I love Forbidden Planet. I think it's one of the best put together pieces of science fiction. Even this, I love the uniforms. Those grey uniforms with the lapels over the shoulders. They look good. It's a good looking film.
And then at the other end of the spectrum, you've got Plan 9 from Outer Space.
You think that? Yeah. Let me tell you something now. I have watched Robinson Crusoe on Mars with Adam West. If we're going to talk B science fiction movies, let's start there and work our way downhill. He does a good job of playing himself as you'd expect Adam West to play, but he does this really good part whereby he actually flips the role and becomes really, really serious. And it's like, ooh, I've never seen him do this before. It's still camp, but it's like, I'm a little bit scared. But anyway, let's get back to talking about Doctor Who: The Macra Terror, because we're going to start very, very soon. This episode introduces a lot of things. And one of the things that it introduces is the idea that you aren't bound by micro monsters. You aren't bound by... you can upscale things. So the idea is that in this one is that you can take something as small as a crab and upscale it to a massive size, and that becomes the monster. At the same time, this is also the very first Doctor Who that introduces the Doctor's face in the credits. And that, it is again, Patrick Troughton. So, yeah.
All the way till the end of Sylvester McCoy's run.
Yeah.
Again until
Matt Smith?
It was Matt Smith, yeah.
Yeah. It was Matt Smith's later run. But yeah, it was the first time that they introduced the Macra Terror was the first time they introduced the face into the credits. This was the ongoing story with Jamie McCrimmon as well, which was also thanks to Patrick Troughton, because the two of them had worked together previously on a different show, and they had such a good rapport because they had worked together previously on a different show. That it was up to Patrick Troughton, and Patrick Troughton said, look, can we keep them on? We kind of spark off each other. And I think it's also the part, this sort of relationship between the Doctor and Jamie, which gives you this sort of professor-student kind of feel. You know, Jamie's learning stuff as well as being a friend of the Doctor, and I think Jamie becomes a very important companion. I'm not sure how important, like to people today realize, but really that companion relationship between Jamie and the Doctor, as we'll see, it's very much influential compared to later companions. Because in this as well, we've also got Ben and Polly still with this story from the Hartnell year. So I think there's nothing else to do now except to get your remotes ready and get ready to press play.
Ready when you are.
All cool. Then I shall say, we shall start in 3, 2, 1, go. There we are. TARDIS spinning in space in black and white.
Yeah, that threw me when I was setting up earlier. I thought, I'm sure I've put the right disc on.
Yeah, it done me when I first watched it as well. It was like, I changed this disc over, right? And I put the wrong one in. And I went and checked and it was like, no, it's the right disc. And I was like, I think I know what they're doing here. Nice render of the TARDIS, though. And I wish they'd change the TARDIS a little bit just to make it a little bit bigger, you know. But the cell shading they've got for the console, where you see the rotor going up and down there, is very, very well done. Sounds not bad either. It's kind of sort of twice upon a time thing, isn't it? Whereby they start off with the black and white and then they go into the colour. I think this is going to be the first time we see an official Doctor Who title sequence go into colour. Yeah, this is the first. I believe this is the first time any Doctor Who is in colour. The opening credits. I'd love to see that in 3D. Recreated with a depth of field, you know. So it looks like it's really coming towards you. Pulling out, racking focus, pulling out into focus. What do you think of this set design then?
I think it's great.
Yeah. I thought I lost you then.
I think they've really, you know, I've seen the photographs like from the telesnaps from the reconstruction, and it's the same set but bigger.
Yeah. Well, that's it. They've sort of taken the influence from. This is what I like about the animation style here, is the fact that they've taken the art style and they've just expanded it. I think even this, the giant face on the screen, it's you know, it's that same sort of shot, but they've just done this, and it's so nice that it just gives it so much oomph. I mean, they could never build a set that size in Ealing. They just couldn't do it. Because it's only by luck they managed to build a set like that for Star Wars. Here we go. Totally space music. Man, this is my funky groove, man.
Must be channel 27.
There we go. Look at him bopping away. It's stuff like that makes me want them to rescore it. Again, they don't have to do it for the original version, but for the special edition, open up, let it go. Have fun. I love these cold opens as well. This is we as the audience do not know what's going on. We know something's up. We don't know who's the good guys. We don't know who's the bad guys. And you get shots like this. Imagine seeing that, what that would look like on a live action. But they're able to pull this off. It just adds to it. And the costumes are based very much on what they were back then as well. So the costumes really have translated from. It's done the opposite. Instead of going from a sketch to live action, they go from live action to a sketch. But they seem to be solid enough creations. Now then, this part here where they come out of the TARDIS, it bothers me because I think they've done the sound wrong. And I don't mean now, recently. I think they've done the sound wrong back then. I don't think it works for right now. Because they're supposed to be on top of a sort of a cliff face. But it sounds to me like they're more like in a cave. I can't really blame anyone for it. It's still good. I'm not, it's a minor gripe.
What's the big stick for, Joby? Nothing's happened yet. I give no sense. Have you forgotten what we saw in that cane scanner? It's horrible. Well, I'm not being left without nothing to...
Yeah, these are, the Macra is also the biggest villains that were created for Doctor Who as well.
See us long before.
I like the fact that Ben is that sort of character that he's beating the crap out of somebody for just standing there. I don't know, who is the art director on this?
B-Doc is one of our last patients in the colony. We've done our best for it, but he gets worse.
Let's have a quick look. It's got to be.
I wasn't informed you were travelling across our territory.
The Magna Carta? No, the Macra Terror.
Hurry back to the colony.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Yes, the pilot of our colony.
I mean,
No doubt he
I mean, we
will
could
want to talk to you in person.
look at the Magna Carta.
Tighter. Come on, tighter. I don't want any more trouble with him. Come on, I'll show you.
Macra Terror, so, yeah.
Are you looking for the architect?
I'm looking for the art director for the animated series, the animated episodes.
Oh, right.
I want to know who's the guy who said, let's put that sun there and shoot it this way. Let's have a look here. It'll take me a second to find it. Uncredited crew. Animation unit. Character artist, storyboard artists, background artist, 2D, 3D, production coordinator, lead character animator. Director Charles Norton. Charles Norton, well done, because this thing looks amazing. Are there any like color telesnaps from the show? I mean, obviously, not set pick.
I mean, it might be. It's been a long while since I watched that as well.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking. I'm just wondering about how the color. Let me just look here. The Macra Terror. Oh yeah. Now a lot of these are set pics, but they aren't. Some of them are the animation. Again, it's got great set design. I'm not knocking the original set design. It's just the animated one is just outstanding.
Wish you welcome joyfully the visitors to our colony. We are very grateful to them. They have performed at the manual.
I'm not seeing any colour photos.
To make our guests happy and contented during their stay.
Looking at Google, most of the pictures in black and white. There's one. I think it's the Doctor and Polly.
I'm really going to enjoy myself.
Yeah, it's. No, all I'm just curious about is just how much of a creative freedom the animators had with the set design, and I'm looking at. I'm guessing a lot of it was probably just pick and choose what works, because I'm seeing a lot of like blues and in the greys, but like with his his outfit is a very similar colour tone to the set behind, but it's still enough of a separation that he stands out against it. If you look, the grey set is pretty much sort of a blue grey, and he's much more of a silver.
He's violent, suffering from delusions. I'm not the one suffering from delusions. It's you! All of you! You don't know what's happening in this colony! Be quiet, Vito! There's only one way to silence me.
Very good in the casting. The people that would play the villains in Classic Who, they had no problem with viciousness.
What's all this about you seeing? See things, question you fool. There are horrible things. Creatures. Nesting this camp at night. Ready now? Have you seen the pilot? It's with the strangers. I have no idea where they are. Back to work. Shift rest is over.
Okay.
The colony needs you. Preparations will be made for tonight's reception. A welcome for the strangers. Reception tonight, a colony party. Madoc, join in with the rest of us, like you used to. It will be fun.
So Madoc is Terence Lodge.
All right. Have fun. Before they
And Ola is Gerdan Kober. Normally would play, I believe he would normally play Germans.
There you are. You don't belong here. Not anymore. You have to talk to him. He sees things. Come on, Madoc.
It's very easy to get sucked into this, isn't it? Again, I don't know how close they followed the telesnaps, but the way they've animated Patrick Troughton, this is all guesswork. They probably watched previous stories and whatever surviving footage they have. But if I remember rightly on here, I think they say that there's actually footage of them acting it out. If I remember rightly, is this the one? Behind the scenes, yeah. So when they were making this, they had two guys in a small room, pretty the size of this, and they would have a switch on a camera, and they would act out the scenes, and then hand those scenes over to the animators, so that they could get the action right.
They've done a fantastic job with it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense though. It makes sense that I mean you get to see bits at least of them act out the Macra Terror scenes from the Macra Terror in just an empty room, in like an empty office space.
I told him he wouldn't get hurt and he wouldn't believe me. Will you let him go? No, not exactly. Let the prisoner escape. There is a crime in this colony, and that men must work in the pit. Guards!
You can't touch him. He doesn't know your laws.
That's true, Erla. He is a stranger here. I set free some of the fleet caught in the first place. True, a reasonable point of view, Erla. Medoc is dangerous. He should have never let him go. The colony will be petrified when they know he's out there in the night. We'll send out the patrol after him. He can't have got far. Can run, you know. He's got legs. Just have to call over the ground. Don't you say that? No reason. No reason at all. Who spreads that kind of rumor in this colony will find himself in the hospital for correction. Oh, that's where Medoc is. I think Doctor will understand more about Medoc if you talk to some of the people who knew him then. Pilot, I think take the strangers to the labor center. They learn something about this. Oh, thank you.
I like the little kerfuffle. There's a nice little sort of back and forth roundhouse play there, and where the Doctor kind of goes from being the this is your fault to well, no, I kind of helped. Well, it goes right to back full circle to, no, this is your fault. You think he's getting out of it, and then it just sort of lands, but he shoots himself in the foot. But again, wonderful looking designs. I'm guessing those computers would have been just sort of blink boxes. I don't know though, because the set we were watching 10th Planet. The set design for 10th Planet was lovely. And what's this? This is like 4 episodes later. I think this is part of. Is it the 3rd episode? 3rd story. Let's have a quick look. Doctor Who episode guide. This is Doctor Who episode 1969.
What do you do then? Farming or fishing?
We work very
2nd Doctor.
What do you do? We tap and refine gas.
Oh, the Daleks.
The colony depends on it.
Oh, this is one. Let's see, the power of the Daleks, the Highlanders, still missing. So that's one they can redo as well. The Moon Base, and then the Macra Terror. Oh, Underwater Menace, Moon Base, Macra Terror. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is the 5th story then. Patrick Troughton. We're talking about people only having 2 takes back then to do Doctor Who. They would actually rehearse the entire thing right the way through. So they would do it in 1 take. And when they came to actually do it on set, they would literally had 2 times whereby they could go back and redo it. And Patrick Troughton apparently in the Wheel in Space, which is actually got aired, he actually flubbed one of his lines and actually called it the sexual oxygen supply. And that actually got broadcast. So I'm looking forward to seeing Wheel in Space.
They've left it in there.
They had no choice. They haven't even. They'd used up all their takes. So that's bound to still be in there. Fingers crossed they haven't changed it. I know it's a mistake. I want to see a sexual oxygen supply. I think that kind of really worked as an alert as well. It's not quite a bell, it's not quite a siren, it's kind of a mixture of both. So the sound design in this is still... And even that noise there. I don't think I've ever heard that noise for anything. Except for the fact that I have now got it as the alert for my text messages. It's a very unique sound.
Young gents are in their rooms over there. Yep. Well, I'm sure I will, thank you. Good night. Good night, Doctor.
Again, there's a certain way that they've done these sets, and I think part of it comes to the lighting as well, because the way that they've designed the lighting setups for these, it's not just a gradient. They've actually it is. It's done in such a way that it almost mimics the original sets. but it looks very good. Like I'd love to build a model of this complex.
When you see a face on the screen like that, it makes you wonder if this was the influence for Holly and Red Dwarf, the base in the Space Sentinels, and
Oh yeah, I mean there's a because it's a dead face as well. It's not like it's not like this. It's a disembodied head, but the face itself, it's not quite. I don't know if there's this uncanny valley thing with it, but even from what I've seen in the original pictures, they still when they do that, it's just a person's face. But whoever did it just had a very very stern looking face to them. So big brother faces, yeah. Well, that's really what this is, isn't it? This is a sort of a they're watching what you do and they're controlling how things are, how society functions.
2048 PM. Medoc is hiding behind the phone.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's either sort of saying, you know, government takes too much control, and you know, if that happens, then that's not a good thing for society. It's either saying that or caution 15-foot crabs.
That sounds like a painful dream.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know,
I said that.
if you have got a 15-foot crab as a pet, you know, be careful. They could rule the world.
Over here, I heard something.
It's interesting, mind that in Gridlock that the Macra came back for that episode, and the only thing I wasn't so keen on with that was that I mean I had never really I'd heard of the Macra as a Doctor Who fan, but obviously because the episode is missing, I had never seen it. But it just seemed like weird that these creatures were in Gridlock. They seem to be about 60, 70 foot across. You know, they could capture one of the cars in one of their claws.
They were more primal as well, weren't they? They didn't seem to be intelligent.
Yeah, they were bestial, weren't they?
Yeah.
But I mean, they were huge. They were like sort of dinosaur versions of the Macra.
Thing is, though, it worked. It worked. So, because I remember, I don't think my boys, because they were little when that was on Gridlock, I don't think they'd ever seen any of the reconstructions that I've got.
Yeah.
They were going on about the Macra range after that episode, so it definitely worked.
Oh, absolutely, it worked. It's just I find it curious that they would use the Macra in that way and then bring them back. I mean, it's great that you're going to bring them. I'm guessing it was a Russell T Davies thing that he, you know, it was one of the stories maybe that he remembered as a child. I don't know, but I just found it odd that they upscaled them.
They were quite large.
Yeah, they're huge, they're enormous. I mean, it's great. It's great when they do bring back the older enemies, the older villains, not just the regulars. Because you know we love the Cybermen, we love the Daleks. To see, you know, something like the Macra show back up again is great. I mean, that's why I think it would be great to have other villains from older Who as well. You know, to show back up again. Again, I would love the Time Lords to go back to how they were at this period, you know, with the Troughton era, where they were more godly. I'd love that. I think they've been so neutered. What do you think seeing this intro in colour now?
Oh, I've done fantastic job. Even though we'd only ever seen it in black and white, it just looks like they naturally got the colours right.
Mm-hmm. Now, the way they've animated these Macra as well, these are slightly. I mean, these Macra in the way they've done the story are slightly bigger than they were than the puppet was for the episode. But they move really well. They're really creepy as hell.
Yeah, they're kind of like giant crabs with spiders, isn't they?
I missed that, Chris. There was something about sideways.
I said they're kind of like giant crabs, but they move like spiders.
Nope. Try it again.
They look like giant crabs, but they move like spiders.
Yes, but yeah, there's this real creep to them where like because they're not stamping into the ground. They could have because they're so big. They could have had these things go boom 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 boom, but they don't. They're huge, but they move like this. You know, it's not natural. It's slightly off, but it's brilliant. And later on, there's probably one of the best creepy moments with the Macra. I think it's episode 3, I think. Now, this character here, who's supposed to be like the leader of the colony, he seems to be fairly carefree. He doesn't seem to be he seems to be influenced by with whatever's happening. It's kind of like, we need to do this. It's like, maybe. I was like, let's go the other way. He's like, oh, maybe. He's very laid back.
Look, I'm extremely busy. Unless this is a major crisis, Medoc has been taken prisoner, and one of the strangers has been captured with
There's no urgency with this guy.
the stranger in. Good evening, Pilot. Oh, what a nice office.
Apparently in the original draft, Pilot was actually called Prime Minister. They changed it for the colony to make it more of a human colony as opposed to a human society.
I imagine you can keep track of the entire colony from here and direct intercommunication between all parties. Very up to date, I imagine. You don't seem to realize how serious this business is, Doctor. You have committed a crime. A crime? What were you doing with me, Doctor? You know he's a dangerous man.
Again, he's going to flip it around and then shoot himself back in the foot again.
To cooperate and to obey orders. Suffers from hallucination. Ah, that's he. That's it. My bad. Perhaps explain. What is it now? I've already shown.
It's a really odd place to keep a button.
Medoc has made a statement. It completely changes the situation. Very well, bring him in. I hope you're not going to listen to everything that Medoc tells you. Why, Doctor, are you afraid of something he might say? But in his state of mind, he might say anything. Huh? How have they been treating you? Silence.
Again, this is one of those stories whereby typically later on there's this trend that happens. We've talked about this before as well, whereby the Doctor kind of gets blamed for the situation that they're in. Whereas here, there is a situation, the Doctor's interfering, but he's not. They don't find the Doctor responsible. The Doctor's doing stuff that they don't agree with. But it's later on it becomes a trend of this is the Doctor's fault. Whereas here, it's he's just interfering. He's interfering in their affairs and they don't like it. And I much prefer that approach.
Just like the rest of them. Why do you want everyone to be the same?
You get as much as the Doctor as you can now, do you?
I missed that as well. You're gobbling.
Oh, it's just bloody! I bought this tablet and it seems to be rubbish.
I heard that.
You don't seem to get the Doctor interfering quite like he used to anymore, do you?
Well, that's what I mean. He is literally a stranger passing through in this, and it's a case of the TARDIS has landed. He's curious. Again, Patrick Troughton's Doctor seems to be that way. He's very, very curious about his environment, and goes back to the way he decided to play it. And when they wrote for Patrick Troughton as the Doctor, that's what they wrote him as, this professor. That's this, he's this genius that's above everybody else for his IQ, and he's just very, very curious about the universe, and he gets involved in these situations and interferes, just because he's interested. He finds it all fascinating, and that is something that's missing from Doctor Who these days, which is the fact that the Doctor these days tends to be the hero problem solver, whereas before he was just more interested in what the problem was. It is quite interesting to see how the show has changed, but I do like this approach. This guy is not the dynamic hero that Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi end up playing. I like that. Absolutely screaming, no expression on the face, because it's just an artificial creation. I like this as well. I like what this does, particularly with Ben, because he's a naturally aggressive character. And again, this is a character that modern Who misses. I don't think it fully explains why it doesn't really work on Jamie. But yeah, there's other things to consider as well with what they've done. I think it is part of the original set design, but there is that graphic on the side of the beds that you see dotted around the set. This sort of GK. All this stuff was just done for this episode. All everything created from scratch, and I really don't think that these episodes get the appreciation they deserve for this sort of stuff, for set design and graphic design. There's a whole font created just to be used once.
You're always there, son. Much like this before. Ben. Sleep. Evil Ben. Evil voice. Even though it spoke so gently and yet almost believe what it said.
Look at the movement in his eyes. Every now and again, it's just little twitches. It's just brilliant animation. Such an improvement over previous episodes.
Can't just stick there most without helping out. Just like that voice, Ben. This colony's all right. Too bad to work here. Didn't talk that way before, Ben.
It just that little movement there. He moved his head and the whole pillow twitched. Just small little things like that are it's what makes it so much better. Flooding the room with sleeping gas. I could do with some of that. A lot of wires for a speaker.
Safety issue right there.
Yeah, no Sonic. Not yet. I'm not sure what episode. Is it the War Games where the Sonic comes in? It can't be. It's got to be an earlier episode than that, surely. Because he converts the Sonic Screw into a Sonic Lance at one point. So let's have a look, shall we? First appearance of the Sonic Screwdriver. Yeah, Fury of the Deep.
Don't just be obedient. Always make up your own mind. I think you know. Entertaining. Hello, Doctor. Is it morning? Yeah. Yeah, nearly so.
A great idea, the Sonic Screwdriver.
From the deep.
Yeah, a great idea, the Sonic Screwdriver, until you get to Modern Who. Then it's a bloody curse.
Charge. Pack it in, Doctor. The way you mess about, you could
Does everything now, doesn't it?
damage the loss of willpower.
What was that?
It does everything now, the Sonic Screwdriver.
Yeah, it's...
Law of the colony. Don't do that! Now you'll get chucked in jail.
What's the matter with you, Ben? Since when did you start worrying?
Thinks he knows best all the time, but this time he's wrong. Hey, what's all the noise? Yeah.
Annika Wills.
I've used me very badly, Doctor. Oh, Ben, I kept hearing these voices.
So sad that Michael Craze passed away. I mean, he wasn't old either. He was like, what, 53, I think, when he passed?
You're fools, all of you. Just look what you've done. You've smashed up all this equipment.
Yes, but look here, they were trying to make us believe a whole load of rubbish.
Rubbish? What rubbish? Control knows what's best for us. They want us to cooperate. We should be helping.
What's with you, Ben? This doesn't sound like you at all.
You should learn to obey. The doctor's causing trouble. I'm going to turn him in. You do know what you're doing, Ben. Let off, Ben. I'm very much afraid I'm too late.
Ben!
Go on me.
Ben!
No!
I like the fact that they decided to do this with Ben. He was the right character to do it with as well.
We can't leave Ben, but he betrayed you. No, not Ben. He's not in control of his actions. He's been given a series of instructions and he can't help himself. Maybe he's trying to get all that. Put it about the wall and smashed up our equipment. We've got the evidence. One of your own friends. Come on, Doctor. Leave him alone. Get out of my way. That's an order. I take orders from no one but the Doctor. Right, you're coming too. Get out, both of you.
Oh, that looks like a good villain as well. He reminds me kind of, this is probably the wrong reference here, but he kind of reminds me of Slide from Thundercats. He's not really the big bad guy. He's the henchman, but there's nothing good about him. He's very much a job's worth.
No, you'll never be happy like Christmas.
For some reason, when I see Medoc, I kind of think Noel Edmonds.
Yeah, I think of one of the slaves from Fred.
Yeah, what is it?
He kind of like he wants to make a swap with somebody.
I think he'd swap that seat with anyone now, give him a chance.
Yeah. If it was Noel Edmonds, he'd only get gunged anyway, so... Yeah, I missed Noel's house party. I do love that colony design. It's so simple, but it's so effective. This modular system, I really like it. I've always liked that sort of design. It's very sort of Space 1999 influential, but I mean this is before Space, so this is. I don't know how much of this colony existed as an interior set, and how much of it if they done with a painted or a model. But it's it's
Molly?
not just that it's unique. It makes sense because these colony pods look like porta cabins that have just been stacked. So it's what's that? Butlin chalets. But I mean they're very. You can see there that there's each one has sort of 2 cabins in, and you get a set of those, and they've stacked 4 of them together to make them so tall. I really like it.
It'd work well for an Alien film as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much. You can see kind of. I mean, I don't know exactly how accurate these are to the original designs, but I mean, we'd have to. Let's see if we can find some Macra Terror telesnaps, maybe. Yeah, there is. It's big and it's pissed.
A bit nippy.
There is nothing evil or harmful in this colony. It stands to reason. It's safe. There is nothing here.
Really? Because there's nothing got a hold of a leg. Like that looks. You'd shit yourself, wouldn't you? Like I'll be running down her back. Now, if that was me, I would have definitely come straight down on the top of my head. Or flipped completely around and gone straight into the splits. See, I don't mind the music for this. It's declamatory. I like it. But I'm just curious as to what this musical score would look like on a more orchestral scale. Look at the way that thing's moving. I mean, you imagine that score being played on less of a sort of a harpsichord sounding thing, but a more of a sort of like a deep cello noise. It'd be ripping away.
I'm proud of it.
See, he just admitted to him that he's been vandalising the equipment. It's like, yeah, okay.
The least you can do is to say thank you. What is it? It's the young man who reported the doctor, pilot. He has another report, pilot, an urgent one. What's the matter?
Yeah, I'm looking at the like trying to find the original telesnaps here, and yeah, in fact, it looks like Butlin chalets.
Silence. Did you protect the girl from such creatures? She ran away. I went after her. Did you protect her? And were there such creatures?
It's pretty much all I can see.
There are no such things as Macra. There are no such creatures. There are no such things as Macra.
I love it. I love it.
Let us come under the control of the evil forces at the heart of this colony. That is quite untrue. Control always acts for the best. Who is controlled? You've seen our controller. Have I? I don't remember. Well, switch on then. Nothing to hide. Controller speaking. We know everything that's happened. Poor girl has had a hallucination. That's not the controller, that's just a picture of a man. It is the picture of our controller. Well, where is he?
Yeah, I'm trying to find pics for this.
Of course he is. Heard his voice. Why don't you show him to us then? All right. Which are as you can hear, Control, they asked to see you in person. That set the cat among the pigeons. They've not got him there.
Yeah, it just
Your controller.
looks like a load of chalets.
He's an old man. Well, now you've seen the controller. Let him speak. Be silent. That's an order.
Let him speak.
Be silent. He's not given the orders. He can't there. You will hear him speak. Speak, controller. Speak. I just speak. Tell the strangers to believe and obey. I will tell them. I will tell them. I'll see what.
There's a man who's been defeated. Life has beaten him, and so's the Macra. Yeah, they are. So that's episode 2. How are you enjoying it so far? I think it's done extremely well. I've got to be honest. I'm always gonna have that issue with the music on something like this, because again, if you're gonna redo it all. But it's such a small complaint, and again, this is one of the best. I remember, but when this arrived, I've never been so excited coming home from work, opening the front door, seeing one of these lying on the floor and going, oh, guess what I'm doing tonight? And it's an amazing Blu-ray as well, for the special features that's gone on, yeah. But yeah, it is. It's a very, very. It was one of the best purchases, Doctor Who purchases I've made. And it's probably the best Blu-ray they've done in ever. This is outstanding. You've gone gobbled again. Nope, missed it again.
They're setting a high benchmark.
Oh yes, set a high benchmark. Yes, absolutely. I mean it. I've got to be honest. I've got the Day of the Doctor Blu-ray as well, and I bought that because it came with a 3D version of Day of the Doctor. This one is literally, it's the original version, animated version in black and white, and it's the sort of special edition version, if you like, in color. But it's all the stuff that they give you as well: the audio commentary, the episode reconstructions, the bonus mini episode, which I told you about, which was quite a nice surprise.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, the animatics, the animation gallery, teaser trailer, alternative black and white presentation, 1982 audio presentation, surviving footage, behind the scenes film, censored scene, title sequence, photo gallery, and paperwork. I mean, it's very, very thorough. Considering, again, 51 years ago, and that's the thing here with this. Even though it's an animation, you're watching a production that is based on designs and elements from 51 years ago. It just holds. It is rock solid.
I mean, the soundtrack is the soundtrack.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But it is. look, any minor complaints that I've got with this episode are just that minor. The set design looks good. I buy all of it. I buy into all of it. It's a very well put together piece of kit.
And the animation, the lighting is well done as well.
Yeah. Again, we talked about the direction earlier, about the fact that where it drifts into day and night, and it drifts into in and out of light environments and dark environments, and all the characters are lit to a certain level. It's not just a gradient. These characters are really blending with the environment well, and actually just they look fantastic. And again, the animation is so slick on this. I mean, even little things like there's the control panel there, and just these little things where they've animated the lights on the control panel. It's just little pops of light here or there, and it just adds to the environment. You've got this smoke overlay that is just on the screen. And again, they've color graded this part of it as well. This is supposed to be a sort of a more sort of warm working environment. They've color graded it so that everything's got a slight reddish hue to it as well.
It's much safer up here. It is.
When you go back up into sort of like the upper control rooms, it's much more of a silver blue grey.
You stood out here, Doctor. I don't know what to do.
Now, apparently, there's also some mystery as to why Polly has short hair. Because apparently in previous episodes she actually had long hair. And it has to do with Annika Wills. I think she had her haircut in between an episode, and they had to give her hair extensions, and they took the hair extensions out, and then they went straight into shooting this. I love it. There's a cracking bit coming up in very, very shortly in this episode. And it's something that I tend to find is probably the most doctorish thing I think I've ever heard. See, he's already ahead of the game. He's come from behind, he's caught on, his intelligence has taken over, and he's like, bang, right, I know what's going on. I figured it out, I put it together.
I don't know what you mean.
I'm out in front.
It's my duty. Hard for you to struggle against the voices, isn't it? One, you spy on the others. Watch out Jamie doesn't catch you. He's not so tolerant as I am.
Again, a shot like that, look, where they've just included like depth of field. So I do find it odd that they haven't given them gas masks. Such a small thing. But I guess they're trying to make the point that the people aren't really valued members of the colony. They're just being used by the Macra.
I should be wearing high vis vests as well.
Yeah. But again, it's only now that James actually stuck the mask on. It's like, in a toxic environment, you really should be wearing that from the get-go.
Our poisonous gas between the mind and the bowels of this place. It kills us if we breathe it.
Beautiful transition.
No one knows what it's used for.
Here we go. This year is probably the most Doctor Who thing I think I've ever seen in Doctor Who. He's not working out the solution.
Yes. One must assume the relative connection is constant.
I like the way this is done. Reverse looking through the glass as well.
Yes. That's right. I thought
Scores himself.
oh,
That's a great moment.
It is.
in my head.
Here we go.
Don't lie. That is a secret known only to 3 people in the colony. To one, naturally. And you're not asking me to believe that in a few moments you have been able to work out the formula which has taken our combined computer years to work. That seems rather a tall order. Yes, of course I know what you've done. You've broken into our secret files, haven't you? I wouldn't know how to do that. Take a look. Well, you must have seen the document. That's the exact computation. Really? Huh. In that case. You really worked that out by yourself. Well, I did have a little assistance. Yes, I thought so. Who was it? I don't know. I don't know person. No, I simply mean that I took readings from the various dials. They appeared to be related. So I worked out the principle that controlled them. Simply, like doing some backwards. Backwards? Yes. You know, given the answer, what's the question?
There, and there it is.
Get it up there before anybody else uses it.
That's it's just
Well, if you insist.
brilliant.
Oh, there now. Anyone
You already knew what the answer was. He'd already known the answer. He was just trying to work out what the hell the question was. But yeah, a very, very Doctor. 10. I'll give my 10 self 10 out of 10 for that. That's him rubbing his ego. And then when he says, well, it's exact, is it? Really? Oh, 11 out of 10. It's just a very, very Doctor Who.
Where does it lead to? No idea. To my knowledge, those doors were never open. Could be an old shop.
How did it need such a new door? It's so strong.
Stop! You make a connection. Yours? Otherwise, she would be here. Now, be careful, we are. There are other places worse.
But again, this is a we're talking about a story here which has really sort of big scale monsters and is very sort of big on the science fiction side of Doctor Who. All these actors at the time were not playing any of this for laughs. They were taking this as deadly serious as any job they've ever played.
That's why it's held up so well.
There's episodes of modern Who that don't hold up this well.
I don't know.
It's so intense.
Well, I think we're in trouble. It just means we'll have to make use of them as quick as we can.
I mean, Love and Monsters would be one of them, I think.
Come on.
I mean, that kind of fell apart 2 weeks after it aired. Again, I don't think that's Peter Kay's fault, but
All right.
we're talking about an episode here that's 51 years old. and it's still the acting is still holding up solid. One of the big complaints about older TV is the fact that actors back then, if they were stage actors, were playing to the back row, whereas here they seem to have picked a really great group of actors. I think Doctor has been very fortunate in that it's been able to pick a group of telly actors and stage actors that have really just tackled the material. I guess it's the respect of the show.
What, Dad?
Well, it's an escape. That bell means that someone has escaped that.
Jamie.
Your friend, that door. I'm going with him.
Hey, wait! Don't leave me down here.
Now you could go with him too.
No one ever escaped. Call in the guard. Close exits to all gas shafts. Stand by, a prisoner's escaped. Shoot on sight.
If no one can escape.
There's an order that wouldn't be given now.
Like he's
Stun on sight. Taser on sight.
Kick on site.
have a ball. Pilot's permission. They may have to go on from the ground.
Hold them down, give them a nasty whip.
Comfy chair.
Yeah. It's bad when you consider how vanilla things have become. Like I said, there's a viciousness to the villains in this that is just I don't find, and it's not just in this. There are other episodes of Doctor Who whereby the villains are vicious. But it's only from the classics. You don't really see it in the new ones.
No permission. You are not to cover the exit to the old shaft. This is in use at this moment by control. No one is to go in or near the old shaft. Top priority.
Be very emphatic about that.
Control knows best.
What if your prisoner escapes that way? What will happen to you?
She'll be punished.
Aren't you going to do
I mean,
something
they've taken some art design here, very very subtle. Like you're seeing the reflection of control in his glasses. It's stuff that they didn't have to put in for the animation, and that it's just the animators seem to have gone that extra mile. They've put together a group of animators now, which hopefully will continue doing all of Doctor Who.
No. Why not? Don't know.
Because they're just getting better and better and better, aren't they?
Ben, hungry. I always thought you were a tough customer. Well done. Control knows best. Don't seem very sure. Jamie took those keys. I must report him.
Here we go. This is a lovely moment with the Macra. This is proper like no. I mean, I'm trying to think what this might have been like at the time when they made this, with the sort of the big puppet. Or you're on a soundstage set. You're trying to do this sort of cat and mouse sort of scene.
By my calculations, he's got a very good chance of that. But as I understand it, Jamie's in the old shaft.
Yes, that's right.
And for reasons of their own, Control don't want anyone there. It's forbidden territory.
So you think he'll be alright?
I don't know. I'll have to tell you when I've tested this to see how lethal it is.
What's that got to do with Jamie?
This planet has got a lot to do with everybody. There now.
Again, the Doctor doing doctory things.
What on earth are you doing?
Banging around with chemicals, rubbing out formulas.
Not having very much luck.
Is that the same stuff that we've been looking at with kids?
Yes. Got great efforts to get it. Question is why.
Shh, something's coming.
Yeah, and as we've discussed before, that really is John Pertwee's speciality, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, John Poo is very, very good at manipulating things to make it seem like he knows how to function a prop to make it very, very workable. Whereas Sylvester McCoy is terrible at working props. He's great to do working props for comedy, but to work it for sort of sophistication, he's got no chance. Who else is really bad at it? I think was it Peter Davison we were watching the other day when we were watching Enlightenment? No, it wasn't. It was the oh god. He pulled up that box and he had those three separate button things and tapped on. It was Keith Barron. No, it wasn't Keith Barron. Yes, it was. It was Keith Barron when he lifted up that panel to type in the coordinates. I was just randomly just. It's like make an effort. It doesn't look like you're typing in anything.
Does that mean he's been caught?
Seems they're closing in on him.
Bad keyboard skills. That's what it is. Whereas, but yeah, John Pertwee had great keyboard skills. Prop manipulation.
You're delighted to tell this to a Fisher.
But yeah. I mean, again, that's something that John Pertwee's Doctor inherited from Patrick Troughton was that he was the lab technician.
Control will now give instructions.
He worked at the unit and he had a laboratory.
Area of the old shaft. No one must go near it, even in search of a stranger. Do not approach its exit or entrance. Do not go in. Officials are to stand by.
I like the fact that added the blue glare on the side of those beams coming on the side of the screen. It's just they've done a glorious job with this. I even go so far as to say when they originally made this, one of the brilliant things that they chose was the fact that they've got Control talking in Queen's English. Very, very. Everything is done really, really well. First Doctor, engineer. Second Doctor, chemist. Third Doctor, gadget fiend. Yeah, but I mean, the first Doctor was very much good at. I mean, there are scenes whereby he works out problems, engineering problems. Whereas, I mean, they often describe Patrick Troughton as the intergalactic hobo, but he is much more than that. As in terms of that's a very sort of narrow. That's just like looking at his appearance, but he's very much a inquisitive Doctor.
He's like an explorer.
Yeah, he's just really. He's so again his Doctor from what Patrick Troughton it brings to the character is that he is this. The way he sees it is that he's really, really excited about all this stuff that's happening because it gets to play with his brain, because he gets to think about things in a different way, and he's really into that. He's really excited by that, and that's who his Doctor is. He's really he is really into inquiring and finding out and just he's more interested in asking the questions than he is about finding out what the answer is. Like I said, he's even in this now. He's gone from in the first episode to not knowing what the situation was to actually by the end of the second episode being out in front. He knows what's going on. He knows what the problem is. He's beating everybody to the punch. That's that scene that we just watched now, whereby he's literally, he knew the answer. He was working out the question. It's very, very nice stuff.
must go from here round up to there.
Official is to increase pressure.
Quickly! Down the gas flow.
I want that seat.
Increased.
I want that seat to go from here to my kitchen. And just want to make coffee and just slide it.
Need it to go around the corner for when you're working at your bench as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I just have like a divert one, like they have on railways. just go round. Back.
Full pressure now.
What are you building today, Carwin? Point for my chair.
Yeah, exactly. I've set the lights as well, so I know if there's any traffic coming the other way. Just have guests round. And then when I go straight, I could do one with a hole in it. I could sit down and watch it, and then just go straight up to the toilet. I just not have to get up.
That means sitting there with no pants on. We don't need that.
I love that moment with the macro on the ceiling. It's a great sort of like you're screwed. They come at you from all sides, and when you look up, it's there. It's like great cliffhanger. Just great cliffhanger. So that's episode 3. We are going into episode 4 now. It's got good pace to this episode, I think.
It is, but it's flying by, so you know it's good.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's like I said in episode 1. It sucks you in. You really sort of like paying attention as to what's going on. Just even to the little things, but it's got such good legs, and there tends to be a lot of time when people criticize, classic Who, it's that they're either standing around giving exposition, or it's running up and down the same corridors, and we haven't really seen that from this. There's exposition going on, but there's exposition going on the move. I think it's a good episode. I like it. I mean, I know like on the ratings wise, I believe so far on IMDb at least, the episode is pulling down. It's got 163 ratings, and so far it's coming in at about a 7.2. So yeah, 7.2. What's episode 2? 7.2. So 3, 7.1. Episode 4, 7. Yeah, it's holding firm. Oh, let's not do that. Yeah, I would give proper money to see somebody re-render this title sequence to look like that, but just do it in 3D. Just do it in layers. Just do it in, far closer, and have a depth of field so it looks like this stuff is just coming towards you. And considering it's not that different to, I think it's just an extension on the original footage that they done for the first Doctor. Whereby they played around with the footage. But yeah, it looks great. That's one thing I did like when they done the Jodie Whittaker theme, was when they showed the intro. We finally got to see it, and it was very much like a modern take on that effect. I love this calling design. I do. It makes me happy about science fiction when people are designing shit like that.
Shirts are standing by.
What could be happening to Jamie now?
I hate to think won't be anything very pleasant. Why? Go and see what the first dial on the control desk registers.
There's not many characters on TV named Polly. There's her, and there's the girl from Fawlty Towers, I'm trying to think of another one.
The one that put the kettle on.
Yeah. Every time he says Polly, though, all I'm hearing is John Cleese that Polly! Manuel!
Yeah.
Again, it's all the things that they've done for this to follow the telesnaps. Like, I know they have followed this room in terms of, you know, the designs for these valves and those tubes and those gauges. They've just expanded on it, and the expansion on this set and the framing now, because I would imagine if that was done on the original, I would imagine Patrick Troughton was probably much closer to the camera. But no, they've actually been able to space him, and look, they've got the two of them in the same shot here, and he's up on a balcony.
I do love the way they've kept it with dials, switches, levers, and wheels rather than trying to.
Yeah, they haven't tried to change that. They've just expanded on that idea. And you've got to love a good toggle switch.
Doctor, something happened with this one.
What do you read?
It reads 0.
And the other one?
Low pressure.
Good, splendid. That means there'll be a fine old gale of fresh air blowing along the old shaft any time now.
Now, this is what works for me for Gridlock. Is that it was when I saw this, it was like, okay. I had never really sort of like, even when I was watching this the first time around, when I first got the Blu-ray, it didn't trigger with me. It wasn't like, oh, I've pieced that together myself. It was like, It was only when it was like, oh no, they can't have fresh air. They've got to have this sort of toxic environment to breathe. I mean, again, when they done Gridlock, that's a hell of a reference to pull.
The only thing we can do for Jake now is to give him time, Dr.
I'm sorry, I can't. I don't want to criticize the music, but it just sounds like. Do you know those wind-up things?
Well, the barrel organs.
Yeah, it just sounds like one of those.
I need help immediately. The strangers have made nothing. They're turning caps in the wrong direction. Will be detailed to assist you. Open up in there. Keys. Where are my keys? Yeah, your keys. Try your pocket. On the gantry. Or over there. I know you've got them.
Try your pocket on the gantry or over there. Because they could be anywhere.
Come on, together! I've nearly got it locked!
Stylistically, they've captured the characters' faces, their likenesses. Sort of, they've done it sort of. I don't say it's oversimplistic. I mean, you can clearly recognize who everyone is, And in terms of animation, that's a really clever thing to do, because there's a lot of characters from different animations whereby it's very difficult. You know, normally the women got a very similar sort of look to their faces, and then the men got a very similar look to their faces, and it's usually depending on what sort of costume that they've given the characters is the big separation. Unless you've got really bold character designs. Whereas in this, you can every single character design here. I know some of them are based on actors, but others are just based on background people. They are vastly diverse, and you can clearly identify who every single person is. Again, the slickness of the animation is a much bigger improvement over what it did in the previous ones. What are they doing? There's something very, I don't know. There's something very American about what they're doing right there, isn't there? I don't like having a pop, but it does seem very sort of bravado filled.
It's camper than a row of tents, I'll give it that.
Well, it's that sort of that cheerleader attitude. No, nothing wrong with it. It's just I don't know. As a very British thing, I find it to be a bit odd.
Yes, I'm one of the dancers. And you've got your dance ready? A dance? Yes, it's ready. Well, go ahead. I'll see it now. You'll see it now. Don't forget, you have to be good to get into the Happy Colony Finals. We want something gay and cheerful. Gay and cheerful. Have you any music? Oh, no, I don't need it.
I tell you why I'm laughing as well. Have you ever seen the film Euro Trip?
Well, come on, get on with it.
I haven't.
So there's a scene in Euro Trip where the lead actor he's from America, and he walks into a bar, and it's a bar filled with football hooligans, and the lead football hooligan is played by Vinnie Jones. And he's kind of, the guy's absolutely crapping himself. I think Vinnie Jones insists that he sings a song. And it's like, no, it's like, sing! Sing! And he just starts singing.
He's one of the dancers.
What was he start singing?
You there, identified.
I can't remember what it is, but they end up, everybody just joins in at random. It's just one of the most bizarre scenes I've ever seen.
The pilot, tell him the stranger's found. Tell him it won't be long before we get our hands on his friends as well. Jimmy,
Again, it's taking the science fiction element of this. What I love with this is that they've taken the script and they've done what it says in the bloody script. The script has said they walk you through this shaft type area, and the animators have gone, okay, let's do this, let's make it this big, this deep, this, just gone for it. Original title for this episode as well was called Doctor Who and the Spider-Man, but then they were crap, so.
That's where all the gas goes.
first place for it. Germs in the human body. Which is the body of this colony. These parasites.
Sound like a disease.
Only that's what I think they are.
They're in the control.
Just a macro scale.
Must be like getting into the brain.
I like the movement on that. It's just really well done. I've got to be honest. How would you want to see, after seeing this now, would you want to see the original?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? I mean, does it mean now that losing the originals and getting rid of them was a bonus because we wouldn't have this?
Yeah, I mean it's the same, exactly the same story, and yet this has been sort of upscaled.
Never been allowed to escape.
And then some.
I'm criticizing the running of the pits.
But I mean everything, you know, the movement on the Macra, the sets, the fact that it's in colour.
There is no discipline in the pits. That's not the only report. Ever since these strangers arrived here, your authority in this colony has gone to pieces. They come and go as they please, and even now, two of them are
I
still
think the original one would definitely look inferior now if you used to watch it.
I mean that's my. I mean I would love to see it, but I think I don't think I would have it hold it in as high a regard as I do this.
Well, you come here for your walk in your tribe. Good morning to you. Nice to see you. So welcome.
Oh, but he knows.
All right, we're just coming to have a word with my own friend, the pilot. Then, I heard you.
Why did not your guards arrest these strangers? I don't know. Guards, arrest them! That is no longer necessary.
Damn, he doesn't give a shit.
Now we've given ourselves up. That's against the rule. You wish to see me? Yes, I do. Urgently. Accompany me. This is control.
So we haven't really talked about trivia with this episode.
It improves the pilot. Everyone back to work immediately. Well, I shall have to go.
There's very little in the. I mean, there's a lot of.
They're only saying that because they know what we've seen.
Yeah.
That is an order.
Don't take any notice of them. That's not your controller, that's your enemies.
There has been no discussion with the strangers.
Why not?
Spend money, yeah.
Arrest the strangers. That is an order. All the strangers. That doesn't sound like a man in control.
Peter Jeffrey had been originally offered the role of the second Doctor by Ian Lloyd, but he turned it down.
Get them all away. I am still a pilot here. He will take your
So he would, the guy playing pilot there, would have was originally offered the role of the second Doctor.
Oh, very foolish. What is it you wanted to tell me? Pilot, you all remain here.
Let's have a look for Ian Lloyd, is it?
Arrest me. No.
Let's see what could have been.
Got to be ready to act on it. We cannot leave the doctor. Back in a minute. Seems to be right now.
The old Ben, I must admit, he's still burning. Where is he?
Oh, he's very David Tennant looking.
Doctor, this is forbidden territory. Yes, you'll soon see why.
He played Court General in Androids of Tara. Really? If I've got the right picture of him, he does look very David Tennant-ish.
Pilot has no more authority. Ola is in command. No, I trust you, Doctor. Or perhaps I've got an honest place. The pilot is to be arrested. This is a happy colony. All the
Somebody's actually done a picture of him holding us on a screwdriver.
It's just all guards to report to the pit head. They are to take orders from Ola. It is understood. It's taken over this colony. Not being in touch with control, but with these. They've used this colony for their own ends. Destroy, mutilate themselves. What a horror.
So let's have a look here. I'm trying to find a better picture. Just so that we can share.
What are they, Doctor? I mean, some monstrous form of bacteria, insects, or what?
No, oh God. Like a plant.
You mean defying control? This is what control really is. Yes. You're right, Doctor. They must be destroyed.
So there's not many pics that I can find.
We've been waiting for you. Hold on. The colony is in the hands of grotesque insects. So you've been seeing things. Get it down, the Macra. You know what happens to people that say that? Now we can deal with you all together.
The pilot sees them.
Yes, I saw the Macra. Forbidden to say that. Don't get inside that you've seen Macra. I saw you. You are the Macra. Silence! Silence, the three strangers. That is an order. What shall we do with them, Control? Return them to the pipe room. The three strangers are the pilot.
I like the
Come on, get in.
the sort of level of panic in their voice. They've been really calm right the way throughout, and now things are crumbling. There's a panic in the voice of Control that wasn't previously there, and that's real good voice direction.
Here are the men. Guards and workers.
You got to remember, like, the person that's playing Control there is literally playing nothing but voice. They don't have expression, they don't have anything, it's just, because that's just a still image. So the actor doing the voice for Control is just relying on their voice. And they've gone for the first 3 episodes of being really calm and really sort of authoritative sounding to it breaking into panic and breaking into, desperation. So I think, let me see if I found the right person. I think I have.
You're right, David. He's going fairly well. What are you? By that time. Hurry now! Hey!
Inzloid.
Is that you? Are you all right? Can you open the door from your side? No. Well, it's not. There isn't a key. And listen, we've got very little time. It's all up to you.
So died 1991.
Turn the control desk. Then you'll see 2 switches. One more down through, one more keep through. Hang on.
Talking Heads.
The other stranger has returned. He's now dangerous. He will no longer obey control. The 4th stranger is trying to help his friends. He is no longer one of us. He must be stopped at once. I've got him, Doc. 2 switches. What next? Go ahead.
Again, it's good sort of little redemption story for Ben as well. To go from that point of being really aggressive to becoming the enemy to being back with, to sort of redeeming his personal self.
Shut up. Okay, Dr. Borroway. Stop the stranger. Switch on both inflow and outflow. Stop. Switch them on then stand by the front lever. You want to get those controller. In power. Out power. Okay, don't ready with the lever. Quickly, Doctor. Throw the lever away from you. No. No. Don't do it.
Wonderful moment. And that's how you get rid of crabs. And here's this damn music again. It's interesting though that they even at this time the Radiophonic Workshop will go with dicking around with electronic sounds like this, because this must have been really difficult to create back then. It's not that I don't have an appreciation for it. It's just it's Muzak, isn't it? It's. But even then, back then, they must have been a technological achievement. I don't blame Doctor Who for my hate of it. It's more of a, this became a thing, and through the 70s it was done to death. Not just in Doctor Who, but again, Buck Rogers. It's space music. Love it. I love that colony designer. Wonderful. And there she is. Macra Terror.
Brilliant.
Fade to black. Yeah, my gripe is literally that damn Muzak. I don't like that at all. Isn't it supposed to be Muzak, the whole thing, the whole control thingy? Yeah, well, again, it's supposed to be sort of the music for the colony, isn't it? It's supposed to be that sort of very sort of space age type music that they can get behind as again, they were sort of cheerleaders. So their entire job was to kind of keep the colony upbeat, keep them work as morale boosters, I suppose. But yeah, it's just the fact that, again, I don't blame Doctor Who for that, for my repulsion against it. I think it's just the fact that it's, when it comes to space music, it's been done to the nth degree throughout the 70s. And unfortunately, if you've been a fan of 70s sci-fi, you know exactly what I'm on about when they've gone to, like, you know, 70s disco that's supposed to be like in 500 years in the future, and you get people, you got some of the worst music under the sun, and the characters are turning around going, yeah, this is some of the best music I've ever heard. It's really advanced. It's like, Jesus Christ, it's not. It's really not. It's a small gripe. What do you think, Chris?
I get what you're saying about the music, but at the same time, I find that the music does fit. So it would be nice if they did the rescoring on the colour version, and then left the white version with the original music.
Yeah. I mean,
it would be interesting to hear it with a.
Again, I don't mind if they change that. I don't mind if they actually change the music for something else there, as opposed to not just rescoring it, but to actually change it to actually go. Let's actually go with something that's a bit more in tune with what cheerleading does. You know, that makes it a little bit more. Because again, you don't have to go with weird sounds. You don't have to go with, let's make it, you know, sound odd and peculiar and strange and ooh, science fiction. You can just go, no, let's just make this something nice. Let's just make this something that fits with cheerleading, that fits with rah stuff. I personally, you know, when it comes to Macra Terror, I think the audience score for it on IMDb, I'm happy to see that, which was like 7.1, 7.2. Given the story, which is basically, you know, a small colony that is being brainwashed and being monitored and taken over for the survival of the Macra, and is being utilized that way. I don't think they actually did say whether or not the Macra were indigenous. At least I don't recall them saying that. I would assume that was the case though, because they pump in the gas up from under the planet. So I'm assuming that is sort of the Macra planet. But yeah, it's a decent enough sci-fi story. I can kind of understand why the Macra didn't come back. As much as I like it, the Macra don't make for really sort of great villains. I mean, there's a maybe if they'd done something else with the Macra, they might be able to bring them back again. But I wouldn't want to see the Macra come back and just be bestial. I think I would, because this kind of portrays them as much more intellectual than that. So I think if I was going to bring back the Macra again, I think I'd want to follow that line of thinking that I would probably bring back the Macra and make them smaller. I wouldn't want to humanize them at all. What else? What could you do? Maybe you could do a cybernetic version, a cyborg Macra. Because why do people have to be cyborgs all the time? Why can't you have cybernetic bestials?
Make an interesting Cyberman story.
Pardon?
It'd make a very interesting Cyberman story.
Yeah, well, again, one of the problems with the way that they do Cybermen stories is the fact that only humans can be Cybermen. It's a very totalitarian kind of idea. Whereas that's why in The Doctor Falls, he alters the parameters of what makes a Cyberman to include Time Lords. Because again, it is a very totalitarian thing. But I mean, you could have Macra have to, adapt to service and environment, and have them be cybernetic, and or for survival. I don't know exactly what you would do with a Macra story. I really don't know what you would do with a Macra story. Aside from do it like Alien, whereby you've got a colony and they just attack the colony. I think that's probably the best approach for at least sort of if you were going to want to do if you wanted to do this sort of just bring them back and make them a threat, then do it. Have a colony under attack from the Macra and just don't make it any more sophisticated than that. But you'd still want them to be. If I had to put it anyway, here's where I bring back the Macra, I'd make it more like Starship Troopers. So that's exactly what I would do. That's how I would treat the Macra as well. You'd have different levels of Macra. So they wouldn't all be the same. You'd have, sort of the soldier Macra and sort of the intelligent Macra, and just follow that line of thinking, and you'd end up with a very scary villain, I think. What are your thoughts now that you've seen this yet again after its 51-year hiatus?
I love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I don't know if I'm biased because it's the first Blu-ray Doctor Who I've bought.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the way they've done it. They've to coin a phrase, knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
The scope of it. Yeah, I mean, I do get what you say about the music, especially towards the end. But at the beginning, that kind of music they play is really creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Absolutely. It's just the fact that, again, my nerves have been rubbed thin by that sort of music, and if again, it just comes out of the fact that if you're going to remaster something and do a special edition, You've got to look at the sound as well as the visuals, and because the sound is just as important, and in some cases the sound is more important. The sound can can set a tone, can change from putting you into, they use Foley all the time on shows to create sound effects that create the environment that they're in. So that's how important sound is, that you have a whole department of sound design, for creating sound effects for individual, for characters. So yeah, for me, if you're going to redo it special edition, make it special. Just make it more inclusive. This is a one hell of a step up from the previous one they had released. This is a hell of a step up, and I'm so grateful. It looks slick. It looks good. It looks solid. It just, any gripes I have with this, and I mean any gripes I have with this, are really, really minor. What we got here? Far better than its reputation from the old days. Yeah, it's the Macra are they're not the greatest of villains, for the very reason that they are very restrictive in terms of they can't go into small places. I would imagine when they had the original puppet that he wasn't very movable, that it was probably a lot of fiberglass and foam and a lot of puppeting. So it was probably quite heavy and difficult to move around. I would think that again, it's why it'd be, if they found the original, I would be interested. But would I actually prefer it? I don't think I would, because what this production does is do everything that they couldn't do back then, and just cut the strings. These Macra being animated, moving around, are fluid, but they're not so fluid that they are able to sort of jump around. There's no Macra attacking like boom, like a giant flying facehugger. But they are more nimble than what they could be. So I'm not sure if they went back and were able to find the Macra Terror, I'd be curious to see what it would like. And look, I would hand them all the respect in the world for doing what they did, because again, what we're talking about here is every single episode that you saw just now, they had from Saturday to Saturday, from filming it to putting it on air. Just think about that when you've just watched all the episodes that you've just seen, and how that translates into it. We just watched something that took, 6 months to produce, to put this onto this DVD. Back then, they had 7 days. Like, they had prep work beforehand, so there was a lot of pre-production, building the sets, redoing the studios, getting all the stuff built, getting all the puppets built, outsourcing for what they needed to outsource. But they literally, they done the dress rehearsal on the Friday, they recorded on the Saturday, the next Saturday was on TV. This is what pisses me off with modern, not just modern Doctor Who, modern TV. And modern movies as well. There is this notion that you have to throw so much money at it and get it to, I don't know, just you have to throw so much at it instead of concentrating on what's really important, which is the storytelling. And I think that's what this does really, really well, is the storytelling. Great actors, fantastic. Again, the villains in this, there's real hatred and bile being spit back and forth. You don't get it. Like, let's be honest here, right? Let's look at, say, an episode like, and I don't want to pick on the 11th, right? But it's one that sticks out, which is Rosa. You've got that awful villain in Rosa. Comes with a lot of charm. He's kind of like a boyish version of the Fonz, but with a racist twist. He has a little bit of aggression to him. Not really that threatening. But with this, these villains have bile. These villains have really no redeeming features. You know, there's a hatred there that I for some reason these days they don't do well portraying. I'm trying to think of a villain that has that much sort of spit to their voice. The only one I can really think of right off the bat that actually throws that much hatred out. Oh, what's her name? With the eye patch from Husbands of River Song. Madam. Oh hell. She had a bit of venom to her, but not to that degree. But there was a when they done A Good Man Goes to War. She had a lot of Madam Kavarian. Yes, she had a bit of that when she was talking to the doctor. There was a bit of you know, this army's to destroy you. You know, there was no love there. There was ego and there was pride, but there was no real sort of love in that character. I don't think of another one. I can't think of another one. Oh, any ideas, Chris?
I'm just thinking.
I'm really just thinking of a character that's just sort of hate-filled.
Well, I'm going to get Emperor Garlic in part in other ways.
No, yes, but there was a. I mean, that's just kind of Dalek is a Dalek. There was nothing really sort of new with it, with that sort of.
He did goad the Doctor quite a bit more than your average Dalek.
Yeah. I mean, but there was a dialogue there. There was a conversation there. It wasn't like, because even when they get the Bad Wolf, but it's still very much you can pretty much pitch that conversation to almost any Dalek.
Yeah, true.
I'm just trying to think of a character with real sort of like. With very little in the way of redeeming features. What we got here? Rachnos. Yeah, but again, the Rachnos really sort of had a. It wasn't a case of. I'll take that. Yeah, the Rachnos had a bit of vinegar to him. Bring back the Rachnos. Again, I'm all for them bringing back the Rachnos, the Sycorax. I'd be interested to see what they could do with the Slitheen with new Who as well now. Because you've got to remember, like, it's been 15 years since the Slitheen, pretty much. 14 years, 15 years, it'll be 15 years by the time the next season comes out. So technology's moved on quite a bit since they did that. So I'd be interested to see what they could do with the Slitheen with modern tech. But yeah. If I was going to bring back the Macra, I think I'd go take the Starship Trooper route. TARDIS lands in a colony. People are dead. Just have bodies strewn everywhere. Bits of bodies, in fact. That would be great. To open out, like to have a look around this colony, like there's just an empty room with like these shades down with buckled like blinds and things like that. They're all just, everything's all over the place, and somebody just opens a cupboard and there's just a hand on the shelf with no body attached to it. That'd be great. Yes. Once again, I should write Doctor Who. Particularly after last week. I'm definitely up for taking over. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know how else you would bring back the Macra. I mean, it did kind of smack me sideways the first time I watched this, though, to realize what was going on. And it took me until about the 4th episode before I actually made the connection to the breathing in the poisonous gas. Wait a minute, they did that in Gridlock, and that's why Gridlock worked. And it was just like, holy crap! It was like it really caught me by surprise. Overall, if I'm gonna be really honest about where I would place it, so if we just take the story, I would give it a 7. If we take the story with the way it was rescaled for the animation and the beautiful style of the animation and the beautiful look and design, I mean, I have to include that. It's a 7.5. The slickness of the animation, I'm going to give it a 7.6 because it's just getting better. Like I said, there's little moments from the quivering of hands to eye movement. When characters are thinking about things, their eyes are just moving or they're not staying focused. To the point where when they're sitting down in the scene, they're interacting with the scenery and there's fluctuations and cushions. I have to give it. I'm going to give it an 8, and there you go. That's where I put the Macra Terror with the animated version of the Macra Terror. For all the effort that they've put in, the character direction, the character animation is slick. The way it's been directed, just all the credit in the world to the director. Just done an amazing job. Took the audio that they had, took the script that they originally had, looked at the telly snaps that they had, and just directed the living hell out of this. A remarkable job. I can't wait. I hope this director comes back to do more. I'm going to check, actually, because I want to know if this director is actually working on other Doctor Who. Macra Terror. Let's have a look here. Let's scroll down. I want to take
on the winning spot.
Yeah. So Charles Norton. As I said before, one hell of a job. So yeah. Charles Norton, IMDb. So he did Sharda, which again was a lovely. Again, well done, incredibly well done. Have you seen Sharda, Chris?
Only the old one that was introduced by Tom Baker that was out on VHS.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, when they done the new episode of Sharda, because it was it was one of those ones whereby, obviously it was incomplete. They shut down production on it, and when it was one of those stories that they would have made, and they only used footage from it to appear in the 5 Doctors. So it was an incomplete episode. So they used the animation to redo the rest, to finish the episode off. They had called in all the actors to redo all the voices to finish it off and to get to complete to really sort of complete it. And then what they did was they shot a brand spanking new scene with Tom Baker. And yeah, it was. You can even have a look at it. It's so I'm just looking here as to exactly what. He hasn't gone down for anything else. They've gone down as doing Doctor Who shot, and they've gone down for doing Doctor Who Macra Terror. He produced the Wheel in Space, Minnesota. Cool. He produced the Shada Servants, Power of the Daleks, animation producer. Dad's Army. Okay. He done an animated Strike for Fraser. Inside Out. So he's done a couple of animated things. I just hope he comes back and does more Doctor Who, because it doesn't look better. So yeah, if I go like this, up, and like this, and like this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and then this, you can see the new scene that Tom Baker shot for Shada. And that was shot and put onto the end of the episode. And to be honest with you, I think I don't know how many other Doctor Who fans out there would be quite as excited to see the end of that episode. I mean, it was worth getting the DVD just for the end of the episode, just to see Tom Baker back as Doctor Who. So yes, Shada is. I mean, Shada's not a bad story anyway. The visually it looks good. But yeah, to bring Tom Baker back to just shoot the end scene as well, to get into, because he had played the Doctor throughout the episode, and it was just like, let's bring him back for this one bit, and yeah, it was well worth it, very satisfying. I mean, there's a man who literally now loves his job. But yeah, the one I wanted to show you actually was in Zloid. So if I do this, I want to make sure that I've got the right person, because I think I have. I'm pretty sure I've got the right guy, because it's not just for Doctor Who. He's done other things as well, like him. So I'm pretty sure it's no, can't do that, because that's telling me it's forbidden. And that's Dudley Simpson. So, oh, that's interesting. So there's actually there's a I'm looking at an image of something called the Gorgon, and it's actually Patrick Troughton with Peter Cushing, which is a rather interesting interesting visual. No, I can't find. I'm not right. I'm not relying on those images as accurate for. There's too many variables. There's not a definite like this is the person that you're looking for. Never mind. Anyway, it's been a good night anyway.
Oh, definitely.
And of course, next week we're going to be doing Day of the Daleks Special Edition.
Huzzah!
Oh yes. Oh yes. I try to not do this when I say that because it adds false hope and hype to something, and I don't want to overhype it. You know, it's still got flaws, it's still got problems. But the special edition of Day of the Daleks is how it should be done. And after genuinely, I don't want to give you a false sense of hype about this episode. But what I would say is that after you've watched the Day of the Daleks special edition, at some point you want to go back and watch the original. And not long after either. Just give it maybe a day or two after and just watch the original. Because then you'll watch the special edition and realise just how much work they did. And it is very surprising. Even small things here or there, and you'll go, bloody, that wasn't like that. But for me, it's very difficult to go back and watch the original after seeing the special edition. I know Ian has seen the special edition. I'm just curious as to what he thinks of it. I mean, we'll go more into that next week, but I'm very curious because I'm pretty sure Ian's seen it.
It's been hard to hold out and not watch it.
Can't go back to the original anymore. Yeah, it is odd though. It's kind of like they do such a good job of. It's not like last week when we watched Enlightenment. When we were watching Enlightenment, there were scenes that they replaced, and Chris, you probably remember this, but there were scenes that they replaced that were just as ropey as the ones they replaced anyway.
Yeah.
So there were pointless visual effects added on that really didn't add anything to the scene. In Day of the Daleks, that's not the case. In Day of the Daleks, it's a case of they do such a good job. It makes like I said with Macra Terror. I don't know if I would want to watch the original based on how well the animated one is done. I'd be interested in seeing it. I'd be interested in seeing how it holds up. But given that you're basing it off of it, what we basically saw here was an audio book being turned into an animated episode, essentially, because the visual episode didn't exist. So what we had here was the audio. So again, the audio book being turned into an episode and done incredibly well, and the pacing still holds up, the acting holds up, the delivery holds up. So. Would I want to see the original Macra Terror? I'd be curious. It would be exactly the same story, but I know it wouldn't be executed anywhere near as well. The same sort of thing occurs with Day of the Daleks, except that they've done a very, very similar thing, but with live action. And what was it? The end battle. I mean, you haven't seen it yet, but I don't want to overhype it, but I haven't done exactly what I'm suggesting, which is to watch the special edition and then go back and watch the original. I know how the original looked, and again, not every visual effect lands. you know. But they didn't do what they did with Enlightenment, which was to replace a bogus effect with another one. What they did was they chose something that didn't work and replaced it with something that did. And yeah, it's not great, but it still advances the story and still works with the story in the script. It even, and I'm not even talking about, when I talk about how they special edition something, I don't mean in Doctor Who, I mean how they special edition anything. Like they done such a phenomenal job. The people behind the scenes on Day of the Dark did such a phenomenal job that is the benchmark by which all special editions will ever be judged. It's like they've set the benchmark here. They've hit a level, and if you want to do better than this, you're gonna have to work hard, because the only other time I can think of that happening where they've done a similar sort of thing is when they done the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2. That's pretty much the only comparison I can make. And the Donner cut of Superman 2 had a much bigger budget. Whereas with Day of the Daleks, it was just love. It was just love for the project. And it shows. It pays off. So I don't want to get it overhyped, but I think I can't help myself. It is what it is.
Next week, I'm going to have to remember that I'm live streaming with you and not just clam up and get engrossed in the episode.
Oh man, look, it's great to get swept along. There's nothing wrong with being swept along. That's what makes it good. That's what makes an episode good when you're enjoying it. But no, look, what you're gonna get next week is it's not the best Dalek story, right? Don't go into it with the best Dalek story. It's interesting, and there's a good amount of action. There's a brilliant scene whereby I don't want to give it away. No, I won't give it away. No, you have to wait till next week. I'll point it out to you next week. But yeah, it's John Pertwee doing his action stuff against a Dalek invasion type force. There's shenanigans afoot, and unit are involved, and it's made more epic still in the special edition than they could have ever dreamed of doing back in the 70s. And it just, they deal with the story. It's kind of like, it's a low-key story that escalates very, very quickly and very well. And there's a lot of, it's not just a Dalek story, there's a lot of good back and forth in it. And when you see it, I think you might fall in love with it a little bit, because I know I did. And I'm pretty sure Ian did as well. What they inject into it is a bit more fun and a bit more care. And it's it's a great story. Compared to recently, we've been spoiled a bit with Doctor Who, whereby we've had stuff like this, and I think what we've been really lucky with is that all the people that have been working on the DVDs and the Blu-rays now and doing the special editions have. We've been really lucky that the people that work on them are really fans of the product. It's a shame that it seems that a lot of the modern Who, and I don't want to piss on the modern Who production team, because they work hard and they do a good job for what they do. But there is a feeling now that we get from them, like, you know, they failed to show anything at San Diego Comic-Con this year. Not that you're required to. They had a booth, but I mean, they were packing out Hall H, man. I mean, I know that they're busy filming. But they could have sent somebody to represent, and it's just there's a feeling here of them just going through the motions. And I'm liking what I'm seeing from season 12. But it doesn't feel there's a feeling of this thing lacks heart. Speaking of things that don't lack heart, shall we talk about the trailer?
I think we probably should. I'd like to start by saying,
Yes.
when the trailers for Discovery come on, I was like, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw the trailer yesterday
Yes.
for Picard,
Yeah.
I was like, holy fucking shit balls.
Yeah. So, my reaction to seeing that there was a new Picard trailer, almost everything that people had bitched ass moaned about when they saw the teaser trailer for Picard was almost obliterated in the new trailer. Like, I had seen people go in, why is Picard working on a vineyard? Because he's an explorer, not a bloody farmer. Why isn't Data in this? Why isn't and it was just like, are they going to have B4 in this? And all this stuff was like, it's just going to be Picard in retirement. It's going to be boring as shit. And literally, the trailer just annihilated it. It was just from the moment he opened that box and we saw the comm badge to Captain Picard Day. Holy shit! I was absolutely I couldn't believe that. Look, when they done the original trailer, the best thing about the original trailer at the end was the da, 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 and that was it. It was just like, okay, it's Captain Picard. He's on the vineyard. I like the Chateau Picard wine bottles. That's great. I like the music at the end. Fine. We got into this trailer, and I was just like, well, look, this I'm gonna reserve my judgment for how good it is until I see it. But if my excitement for what the first trailer was like, okay, maybe I'll watch it. My excitement after this one is I am not gonna miss it. That's a big jump because for me, Star Trek had died. Star Trek was like, beep, beep. That's where Star Trek was for me. After the JJ verse, after Discovery, I had walked away. I'm walking back. There's a sign in the background of one scene that says 218 days since the last assimilation. Yeah, I mean, there's so much in there. There is so much in there. There's a tactical ball cube that's been smashed. There's 7 of 9. Brent Spiner. I mean, I
did a bit of digging around after seeing the trailer, and apparently Jonathan Frakes is reprising William T. Riker.
Yep.
Marina Sirtis is playing Deanna Troi Riker.
Yep.
So, and you got Jeremy Conrad. And do you know the other? Am I breaking up again?
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you know who the other actor is that's going to be in it?
I'm gonna guess LeVar Burton's going to be in it.
The guy that played Q.
Oh, John DeLancey. Yeah.
Q the Borg.
Yeah. Look. If they do Q right, and they should do it right, because based on what I've seen, what I would actually do with Q is have Q show up and take original footage that they shot on the VistaVision cameras and have it just rotoscope him and have him be young and just have him look at Picard and go, "You're old," and then just go boom flare and then age up to where he is, just to wind up Picard.
That'd be great, but I didn't say Q.
No, but that's what I would do.
Yeah. No, I said Hugh, the Borg. The
Hugh, yeah, I Bog. Yes.
Yeah. He's the actor. That actor's in it as well. Reprising his role. So yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah. Oh, look, having Hugh in it and Q and having them all in it. I haven't been this excited for Star Trek in I can't tell you how long. I mean, the last time I was there, genuinely, the last time I really had this feeling of oh hell yeah, was probably in A Mirror Darkly Part 1. That was probably the last time I had that sort of feeling of they're gonna do this. They're actually gonna do this. And that was probably it. That was probably the last time I had that sort of feeling towards Star Trek.
For me, it was probably when Star Trek Continues done the what happened next in the Mirror Universe at the end of Mirror Mirror. That was
yeah. But again, for me, if you're talking about the official canon, Star Trek Enterprise when they done it in A Mirror Darkly, where the which one was it? No, the Defiant. The USS Defiant from the original series shows up.
Yeah.
And they end up going on board a TOS Constitution class. I mean, I was just like, holy shit. And then they all start dressing in the original uniforms. And it's just like, they're going for it. They're absolutely pissing going for it. That's how you respect the original series. That's how you respect the original show. You do what you can to make the old look as good as possible, but you don't fuck around with it like they have with Discovery now. Because Discovery to me is a kick in the balls to the original series. And it's not. It's such a. I don't want to say disrespectful, but it is. It's disrespectful to Matt Jeffries, because Matt Jeffries' designs for the original series are phenomenal. Nobody had done a bridge like that before for a starship. Not so functionable, whereby the commander was sitting on this raised chair overlooking everything, could see the view screen, could look into helm, could look around and see every station, was in contact with everybody on around him.
His tube design was pretty good as well.
It's just the fact that it was, the original Connie right there. Just amazing design. Beautiful ship. It's just the fact that when they done Discovery, it was a case of this is set before, and they've done this where all the sets look like they robbed them from Battlestar Galactica. I don't get it. Given that the fact that I believe if we're looking at sort of the pilot of the Cage Enterprise looked great. It was only the cost of keeping it running like that was the only reason why they changed it. But the Cage bridge from the original Star Trek was a really good looking set. Yeah, it needed tweaks here or there, but it's pretty damn nice. So to see Star Trek Picard, then when they started running the trailer, it was like, okay, so they're gonna do this weird ass shit with the uniforms, and they're gonna dick around with communicators, and they're gonna do some weird ass shit with, when they have flashbacks of the Enterprise, it's not gonna look like it did, or something like that. And then I saw the trailer for this now, and it's just like, they've Amazon have turned around and told all these people that think they're making Star Trek to kiss their ass. That's what it appears to be. There's this huge middle finger to J.J. Abrams, to Star Trek Discovery. To all these people that think they know better than what has previously gone before, and that's good news. That gives me a good feeling to have people on board that really want to make Star Trek, but make it a continuation of and be respectful of the material that had gone before. You can call it fan service if you like. I don't care.
Nothing wrong with fan service. I mean, what did you think of the trailer closes and then you've got the card game?
Oh, I mean, look. I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna watch the trailer again.
All right, give me a chance to get it set up then.
Let's have a look here.
It's in my YouTube history, so it's not going to be difficult.
Yeah. It's Star Trek Picard official teaser trailer, Amazon Prime Video. Here we go. Le Bar, France. The Picard Farm Vineyard. Beautifully photographed.
I'm there. I'm on it.
No. Let me just pause off a quick second. So I believe that's B4 in that container unit. There we go. See, that's a great line. Literally, all the complaints, like, why is he on a vineyard? He's like, it doesn't feel like home. I like the fact that he's wearing the grey shirt with the black shoulders. Coming soon, I will be. Captain Picard Day. I mean, it just... Yeah. He hasn't done that for a while. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
The only thing I hope they don't do with this is this week, special guest star Michael Dorn. This week, special guest star LeVar Burton. As long as they don't do that every week.
Don't care. Don't care.
Well, if they do that every week, I want the last episode them being flying off to start a new mission, just not necessarily start.
I honestly, my reaction after seeing that again is that provided it's a good storytelling process, I don't give a shit if everybody from the Next Generation shows up. I genuinely, I have such a good feeling for this show. I try not to get too excited for it because it could be a turd, right? It genuinely could be, but I don't want to be a downer on it for that. I want to believe that that they've taken actual care here. I want to check out something right now from the official trailer.
While you're looking at that, one thing would be interesting is if this series, Star Trek Picard, is them all getting back together and the next series is called Star Trek: The Next Generation Season 8. Now that would be interesting.
I've got what I'm looking for here. No, I don't know who you are. See, where that shot of him standing outside that building there, he's got that grey jacket on with the black shoulders. It's very reminiscent of the one he used to wear with the red jacket over the top.
Yeah.
So they've made some real efforts here in getting the stylization right. Alright, so I've just stopped it on the whole Captain Picard Day banner scene. Now, it's a different set to the observation lounge. So it's not a flashback. It's not a flashback to the Enterprise D.
Yeah, I read somewhere it's some sort of museum or something.
It's potentially, yes. It could be. I can see like awards. What look like awards in a cabinet. So yeah, these are new scenes. Yeah, it says there on one of the balconies. It says this facility has gone 5,843 days without an assimilation.
Yeah, it looks like the Romulans are messing about with Borg implants, doesn't it?
Yeah. Now, I'm trying to think what her name is. Oh, good grief. Oh, bloody hell. Nope, it's gone. Never mind. It'll come to me at some point. No, that's something I do disagree with. It's very much a small complaint, but there appears to be a samurai Vulcan. I think there's maybe a little bit too. I don't even know what to even call that.
That's if it is a Vulcan and not a Romulan Vulcan.
But it doesn't matter if it's a Vulcan or a Romulan. That's clearly a gi that they're wearing, and it's clearly either a Bokan or a samurai sword on the back. It reeks of Asian influence as opposed to being of a Vulcan influence. Something that really does bug me though. And again, I'm not shitting on the trailer too much. It's these pissing floaty hologram fucking Iron Man shit. It's been done to death. Stop doing it. People just doing this to thin air. Bugger off. Get some proper consoles. It's a very stylized approach, but they've done it better with Iron Man, and you're not going to best it, so stop copying it. As for the card game at the end, how many days since first contact? Lots and lots of days. What do we get? That would be 16 years. Well, I don't know about 16 years. If you go by what was written on the sign, it'd be about 16 years. So 16 years since the last assimilation. That's what the time calculator reckons, anyway. Yeah, a friend of mine watched the trailer and I meant something looks odd about Brent Spiner. I was like, dude, the guy's 70 years old. He's not the guy he was in 1987. You know, you're gonna kind of have to accept that it's been 30 years. You know, he's getting older. We're all getting older. Was it? How actual old is Brent Spiner?
That's what I'm just looking at. He's 70.
Yeah, he is 70. Yeah. I mean, he is. You can't expect this guy to look like he did when he was 40. Or 35.
That is some good makeup. I've got his face paused on my screen at the moment. That is some quality makeup they've used there.
Yeah, I mean, like you can't expect. Look at him right there. When, well, let me just share the screen so you can see what I'm looking at. Right. So that's Brent Spiner today, right?
Yeah.
That's Brent Spiner when he started playing Data. You can't expect. You cannot expect him to look. It's been 35 years. Do you know what I mean? It's been 30 years at least, you know, since he started playing Data. You cannot expect this guy to look exactly the same. I mean, even it's. The other thing to remember here is that he can't be playing Data. He's got to be playing B4. I mean, you know, that's him today. There's nothing wrong with the way he looks today. It's just the fact that you can't seriously look at this guy and go, oh well, yeah, he's going to play a character that is the same age. I mean, that's how he looks in the trailer. You know people are going to complain about it. It's going to be like he doesn't look the same. It's the same with 7 of 9. Some people have complained because her implant on her eye doesn't look right. I was like, but I mean, get off.
Well, it's technology, isn't it? My mobile phone don't look the same as it did 10 years ago.
Exactly, mine does. It's the same one. Yeah, it's absurd. Some of the arguments that people raise are just absolutely absurd. Where do I stand on the new Picard series? The way I posted it on Facebook was the fact that, you know, it's found a heartbeat. They've at least found a pulse. You know, whereas before Star Trek was dead to me. It was done and dusted, and I had the original series, and I had the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, and that was it. And you know, I had those to hold on to. Now I feel like there's something new coming that I can grab onto. It's not there yet, and I'm going to reserve judgment until I see it. But man, did it give me a good feeling. And that's the key thing. That's what trailers should do: is sell you on, sell you on a good feeling, get you hyped to watch it.
I mean, I apart from seeing the original teaser, I hadn't read anything about it. I knew it was coming, and I thought, well, I'm going to watch it because Patrick Stewart is nobody's fool, and I knew he was behind a lot of the decisions that were made. And when I watched that trailer, I thought, well, this is good. And then I just was not expecting Brent Spiner to appear at the end at all.
There's nothing about that trailer that I expected. There's nothing about that trailer I expected. I have until somebody sent me the link for that trailer and said, "Have you seen this?" The answer was no, because I was staying away from it. I wasn't interested in Star Trek. So I know there was no online spoilers that could have come out about Star Trek that I would have seen anyway, because I went the second that the article of Star Trek spoiler, Star Trek Picard, I was just like scrolling past it. I didn't care. When I saw the last trailer, I mean the image I saw of the before it was an image of Patrick Stewart standing in the field with a dog with a #1 tag on and a bloody Star Trek chevron worked into the farm. And I thought that it looks like he's just pulling the underwear out of the crack of his arse. I didn't think that much of it. And then literally a friend of mine sent me that trailer and it was just like, "Have you seen this?" I was like, "No." And I put it on and it was just like started watching it. It was just like, interesting. They've got the comm badge, okay, it's a nice little big piece. But it's a small piece of set decoration. There's nothing. It was when I saw the banner that said Captain Picard there, I went, "Oh my god. They actually give a shit." And then of course you get 7 and 9 showing up and it's just like, okay. They're bringing back the actors. And of course we get to the end card game and I'm like, right, I'm interested. You've tickled the back of my brain and I'm interested. And I've got such a good feeling. I hope my fear with what they're doing with this now is that they're gonna use it to swerve. That's my fear. That they're gonna use it to swerve so that they can go back and swerve away from the Next Generation and the Voyager era and go back to doing this is all neon lights and it looks like Star Trek Discovery again. I don't want to see that. I think Star Trek: The Next Generation had a different look, particularly with First Contact and Nemesis. Right the way throughout that particular era, at the end of the Next Generation era, then in with Voyager, it had a completely different look. It had a very more lived-in, comforted universe, as opposed to what they've got today, which is this hard edge universe. But I am knackered. But I am happy. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't like the hard edge Star Trek that they've tried doing. I don't think it works for Star Trek, particularly not the Next Generation. The point of the Next Generation was to go past what had been done. And I don't feel like Star Trek Discovery went past what had been done. I think there's nothing new or fresh about Star Trek Discovery. Whereas this, I'm not saying that it's fresh, but it definitely gives me the tingles.
Well, knowing how picky Patrick Stewart is about his role anyway, he originally didn't want to do it, did he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. When they approached him, he was like, "No, I'd rather not." But use the key, and this is the crucial key to this. When they decided to do Star Trek Discovery, they had brought in people from who had worked on the JJ stuff. Now, those people are still in charge of Star Trek. The only difference is that when they did Star Trek Discovery, Netflix give them a 3-year deal straight off the bat. Netflix were the first to give them a 3-year deal and go, yeah, have it. So that was a big sort of a boost for them, because they were instantly had, I think Netflix paid them $50 million, I think, for 3 seasons. Whereas after season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, when the pitch was made for Star Trek Picard, Netflix went, nah, it's okay. We're not interested. Which was kind of probably a punch in the gut for them, to have everybody be excited for this show, and then have Netflix turn around and go, let's be honest here, Discovery's not what it should be, and the fans ain't clamoring for it. So for Amazon then to turn around and go, we'll buy this, but we'll buy this based on the fact that you give us bloody Star Trek, that gives me a good feeling. To know that a different production group are in charge, or a different company is not so much in charge, but in control, and given what they've shown us in this trailer, even if it's fan service, somebody somewhere making this bloody show gives a shit. I really have nothing more to add until I see more, but that's the only way I feel about it, is that unlike Star Trek Discovery, which just seemed to... There's a difference in fan service. A big difference in fan service. Fan service in Star Trek Discovery is name-dropping. Fan service in Picard is actors coming back to reprise roles. That's a fucking huge difference. You know? In Star Trek Discovery, it's a skeleton of a Gorn in the background. That's their version of fan service. In this version of fan service, they got Brent Spiner. What do you want me to do with that? like that's a different level, completely different level. Again, somebody here gives a shit, and it shows, big time. How good the show is, how good it pans out, how good the story arc is. That's a whole different question. That's something for us to watch when it comes out. We will be watching.
Yeah.
So again, the worst thing about that trailer was definitely the fuck off. I just can't cope with it. The Tony Stark bloody desktop displays. Just they shit. They absolutely shit. Holographic displays are crap. What are you supposed to do if you're on a brightly lit bridge? You won't be able to see them. That's what I know how light works. That's how physics works. You wouldn't be able to see the panel. At least we have pretty much come up with the best solution to how to best present information, and that is to have a black screen with information appearing on it. That is the best way. Having a see-through screen with information appearing in it, or floating holograms, is awful, because one, other people can see the information. So if you're top secret, or want to keep something away from prying eyes, it's really difficult if it's floating there in front of everyone. Particularly if you say, I don't know, have a view screen conversation with an enemy. They're like, oh, look, forget what they had to pull in Generations, where they had to tap into Geordie's visor. They just look on the screen and go, oh, look, there's their shield frequency there. What have we got here? Sounds a bit like the last season of Doctor Who, the lack of fan service. It's again, it's just the state of science fiction today. It's just that there's no continuity. There's no continuity with science fiction today, and there's a lack of care about what's come before, and that really shows. And I mean, in Doctor Who, it's not so much because in Twice Upon a Time, they at least respected the show enough to actually show you what had previously happened on Doctor Who in those cuts, and they hadn't changed, they hadn't tampered with them. As much as they did dick around with the First Doctor, and not everybody liked the characterization of the First Doctor in that episode, they at least respected it to the point whereby they recreated the interior of the original TARDIS and hadn't changed. They hadn't changed anything bad, anything for the worse. They'd only improved upon it. Like when they got rid of that flat curtain with the roundels on and changed it for that wall with all the hexagonal ones with the roundels in. They did an excellent job. But for Star Trek Discovery, when you saw an original series era bridge, it didn't look like an original series era bridge to me. Just totally pissed in the face of what had gone before it. Whereas this is honouring what's gone before it. But yeah, as for the cheap fan servicing in Doctor Who, yeah, there's bits that they could Judy's season though had bugger all callbacks bar the Fez. I thought the Fez was a nice little touch, but again, they have done things like that before with Matt Smith. Like I remember when they done the Doctor's wife, where there's a knock on the TARDIS door, and he opens the door, and the little white box comes in and is flying around. And he's like, what are you so happy about? He's like, I've got mail. And it's like, holy shit, he's calling back to the second Doctor. And it's like, geez, that well done. Bravo. That was a very good moment. So the Fez moment was okay. I think I liked the idea behind the fact that the Doctor had ordered it and forgotten about it. I wasn't so keen when she put it on. It was like, that's not you. That's somebody else. That's somebody else's thing. You put that on. Yeah. So as for other, I mean, look, we know what the faults are with Series 11, and I genuinely, at this point, the BBC must know what the faults are with Series 11. The problem that you've got is that there are still people out there making fallacious arguments for Series 11, and if you're going to criticize Series 11, criticize it for what it is. Don't try to invent. I had an argument with a guy on Facebook about Series 11, not because I was trying to defend the show, but his argument was that the Doctor Who is dying because it's lost so many viewing figures, and it's just like, no, it hasn't. The viewing figures for Series 11 was actually better than Series 10, 9, 8. The second half of Series 7, because it was split in half. And to be honest, if you look at the first half of Series 7, it was kind of better than that as well. You'd have to go right the way back to Series 5 to find comparable numbers. And then it was just like, yeah, but it's on a Sunday, so it's got no competition. It was like, do you think the BBC gives a shit about that? So you can't compare Saturday to Sunday. Fine, fair enough. And then he was saying that, but the viewing figures for New Year's Day were awful. And then, so I'm thinking of Q now, and I'm going, wait a minute. You're saying that you can't compare Saturday to Sunday because it's on a different day, but you can compare Christmas Day to New Year's Day, even though it's in a different week. That's a bloody big hole in your argument. Which obviously as well you can't do. You can't turn around and say this is comparable, but this is not, and then just decide to switch it when the facts don't bear you out. And again, let's be clear here. I am not defending the show based on the quality of the show. I am simply delivering the facts. And the facts are 9 out of 11 episodes of Series 11 came in with viewing figures 7 million or higher. That's fact. There's no. It's not coming from me. It is not coming from the BBC. It is coming from Bob, the people in charge of monitoring the viewing figures. 9 out of 11 shows of Series 11 of Doctor Who came in 7 million viewers or higher. That's not dying. That is better than Series 10, Series 9, Series 8. Series 10 had the lowest rated episode of Doctor Who in the Lie of the Land, which had less than 4.9 million viewers. So I'm not defending it on the quality of the show. I am defending it on the fact that these facts are you cannot deny these facts. These will hit you in the face like a hard dead kipper. So Jeff Mason here. Series 11 not perfect, but stands well. Good with stands well. A good start. Series 12 should be great. Look, we know that the people making arguments of, oh, look at aren't they trying to course correct? Well, yeah, you'd be an idiot not to, wouldn't you? If you knew that you had done something wrong, you wouldn't just keep doing it wrong. That would just be silly. That would be one of the most ridiculous things to do. So the fact that Series 12 is likely to make a course correction and just go, no, people like this sort of storytelling instead, that's just common sense. So yeah, but I'm not going to argue with the quality of the show, because we've talked about the quality of the show before. It's just the fact that there are still people out there that are in denial because they have opinion-based facts, and the real facts don't back them up. They'll try to pigeonhole it in some way so that it fits their argument. And then you can't have your cake and eat it. You can't say, this is acceptable, but this is not. And then when you flip that around, go, well, look, it doesn't work. Your argument doesn't hold up. If you swap ends, your argument doesn't hold water. Yeah, you really can't do that. You can't say to me that the figures for a show that airs on a Sunday is not comparable to a show that airs on a Saturday. You know, you can't tell me that that's not comparable. And then when I say, well, it's not comparable because this show aired on New Year's Day instead of Christmas Day, and say, oh, no, yes, it is. How can you make that argument? How the hell does that hold up? So, yeah, their argument just completely falls down. And let's be clear here again. 222 channels monitored by Bob. Thousands of TV shows aired on New Year's Day. Doctor Who placed 4th. Now, yes, the viewing numbers were down. It was 5.6 million viewers. It had a total share of 22.6% of the entire viewing audience. That means that even if it came in first on New Year's Day, the amount of people watching that episode on New Year's Day would have still been down, because nobody watched TV on New Year's Day. That's not a mistake on Doctor Who to have it to make a bad episode, which it aired on New Year's Day. That's because they moved it to New Year's Day. If they put it on Christmas Day, I dare say it would have a much bigger audience. And I think everybody's in agreement that moving it to New Year's Day was a bad move. But it doesn't speak. If we're talking about the quality of the show, that's a very different thing. But you can't deny the facts just because it doesn't suit your arguments. That's just putting your fingers in your ears and going la 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 because you don't want to hear it. But the truth is, numbers wise, the show is doing better than it's done in a long time. and that's just on a bit purely based on viewing figures. That's all it's based on. As for the quality of the show, that's a whole different argument. But anyway, we've gone on long enough. It's now come up to 11:30 in the night. I've had a good night. I hope you've had a good night too.
I certainly have.
Fantastic. Next week we're going to be doing Day of the Dalek Special Edition. Looking forward to that. I don't think there's any more to add. We've talked about Macra Terror to death. We've talked about Captain Picard, the Picard series. And now we've come full circle and back to Doctor Who. So I think we've had a good night. I've had a good night. I hope you've had a good night. I hope you've had a good night, Ian. I hope you've enjoyed this as well, Jeff. It's been a lovely evening, and I look forward to doing it next week as well. Let's wrap this up and say have a good night, and we shall see you Sunday 8 p.m. because every Sunday is a Doctor Who day. Take care and good night.
See you later.